Hills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at nebraskadeerandgameexpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, for brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour one of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is Old School on a beautiful, blustery gray Friday here in the capital city. That's all right. We're heating things up here on Old School over the course of the next 3 hours. 402-464-5685 if you want to be a part of the show. As always, you can. Austin Norman here. Nick Wyman over there. Future Husker Hall of Famer Nick Wyman?
I don't think so.
Maybe?
I don't think
TBD?
so. I don't think so. Yeah. I graduate, but I don't think I fit that mold.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as you. If you want to be in the same boat as us, you can take your cars over to Graham Tire Company for service. They're celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. Again, 402-464-5685. Got anything on your mind? Friend David in the car with the boys. Ask, where is Jay? Where in the world is Jay Foreman? He should be along for hour 2. I won't make any promises, but rumor has it Jay Foreman will be on stream for hour 2 of the show. So finally, there will be at least one Hall of Famer here again on the show like normal. All right, Nick, I don't know if he's a future Hall of Famer or not, but he's certainly a rich man. Kyle Tucker is off the market. The Dodgers signed him late last night to a 4-year, $240 million deal. Of course, being the Dodgers, there are some deferrals involved with that. So the real present day value is about $57 million per year. But again, 4 years, $240 million for Kyle Tucker, $30 million in deferrals, $10 million each of his final 3 seasons, and opt-outs after years 2 and 3. What was your reaction last night when the Kyle Tucker news broke?
It's the Dodgers world. We're just living in it. It's one team versus 29, chess versus checkers. I mean, they're not doing anything against the rules. Technically, it's all, it's fair game. That's just how they're playing. But I mean, to stack, Shohei Ohtani on top of, this overshadows. They got Edwin Diaz for 3 years, $69 million, or like a couple couple weeks ago, highest paid closer in MLB history. And that's getting overshadowed by Kyle Tucker, a 4-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, a Gold Glove, a World Series champion with the Houston Astros. Just wow. I mean, you look at that lineup, that's a video game team, like an all-star team, essentially. So
the projected starting lineup for the Dodgers: Shohei Ohtani leading off, Mookie Betts at shortstop, Freddie Freeman at first base, Will Smith catching, Kyle Tucker in right, Teoscar Hernandez in left, Max Muncy at third base, Andy Pages in center field, and Tommy Edman at second base.
Unreal.
Before you get to their starting rotation of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, et cetera, before you get to the back end of your bullpen, to your point, where they signed maybe the best closer in baseball, certainly a top 5 closer in baseball, to the biggest money deal for any closer in baseball history.
I mean, it's something, if you had told me this 40 years ago, I would have called you crazy. It's like, okay, they could land Ohtani. That was the rumor for a while when he was hitting the market. And it's like, okay, they're going to pay him because he pitches, he hits, he does it all. But to stack that, then Freddie Freeman, and it just kept going and going. Every year, it feels like they just have a splash in free agency. And this was the slam dunk on top of free agency. Per Spot Track, $2.1 billion in guaranteed salaries owed. That's nearly
$2.1 billion.
Nearly $800 million more than the second team, which is the Padres, with $1.3 million. So that is a pretty big gap, I would say. A pretty large gap between 1 and 2. And then you can go down the line. But it just amazes me that this is the point that baseball's got to. Because they've had very successful. I mean, the World Series last year was awesome.
It was.
It was awesome. I mean, the Dodgers got taken to the brink by the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays were up 3-2 going back home and 2 outs away from winning the World Series.
And there were a couple extra inning games there where a couple ball goes the right way for the Blue Jays. You don't know. It's just going into 2026, which is a big year for Major League Baseball. Social media was blowing up because of this. And there's obviously something looming for 2027 in Major League Baseball. So it's going to be
that thing is called a lockout, in case you're not up on the news.
That's going to be very interesting how this plays out, because while one team is doing this, there's 29 others that are kind of sitting back where they can do this, but the Dodgers have a much easier path to doing this in free agency.
Yeah, that's just the thing. I mean, there's a point that other teams could defer some money. He was sitting out there for months and no one did anything, but they didn't. And so the longer it dragged on, it just kind of felt like this was the inevitable yet entirely unsatisfying conclusion to this saga, is that he would end up with the Dodgers, who, if they need help, corner outfield for their offense is probably the biggest need, on top of their bullpen, which they shore up there with Edwin Diaz. So it's not necessarily surprising. It is still a bit of a bummer that, again, the rich continue to get richer. And Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line will address your questions here about this in just a second. But Nick, you mentioned the Blue Jays aspect of this, right? Think about the last handful of off seasons for them in pursuit of Shohei Ohtani, supposedly on a flight to go sign the contract.
Yep.
Just kidding, not true. He's in LA signing that one. You lose now Bo Bichette to the Mets, and Kyle Tucker is a guy that you thought you were in the running for along with the Mets. Like, okay, we feel pretty good about it. Let's keep negotiating. They don't land him. Our guy Rudy's a Blue Jays fan. Still don't know if that happened with him being from San Antonio, but he was pretty crushed by this news. The Blue Jays just continue to be always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And that was a top 5 payroll in baseball last year that got flexed on.
It's unreal, because it's, you have the Dodgers who are on their own tier. They are the evil empire of baseball right now. They're kind of like the Chiefs were. The Chiefs were just better than ever. They're winning games, outclassing everybody, and that's how they were doing. Then you have your mid-tier teams who are spending money, getting free agents, winning games, competing for the playoffs. And then you have your lower tier teams who are like the Marlins and the Pirates, who are spending, around $80 million on their entire roster, which is unreal difference compared to the top of that mountain. So it's going to be interesting once, because salary caps and the salary floor, those are terms that have been thrown out for a couple of years now. Was this the tip of the iceberg for that to kind of be talked about? We won't know for a while, but MLB, 2027 sneaking up really quick. This lockout has been something that's been talked about for a couple of years.
I mean, we'll have conversations about the looming lockout in like 10 months,
100%.
Maybe 11 months. It is what's going to happen, because it'll happen sooner than later after the 2026 World Series draws to a close, which is where I do think it's worth talking about the two opt-outs for Kyle Tucker. 28 now. He'll turn 29 and plays age 29 season here coming up. He'll play this year, and then hypothetically, in a perfect world, 2027 will be his age 30 season. And then he has two player opt-outs, right? Not club options, but player options that you would think to yourself, okay, who in their right mind would opt out of $60 million? Who would do that? I mean, that's stupid, even if it's, just $57 million, like is the present annual value of it. But think about Kyle Tucker, who hit free agency at pretty much the perfect age, at 28, going into his age 29 season. That's right smack dab in the middle of your prime, where you can expect another at least 2 years of peak performance, probably another couple on top of that, and then hopefully the aging curve is graceful. But it's rare for superstars like him to hit the market at this age. And so I don't blame him for taking the shorter deal with the higher average annual value to get those opt-outs, because if he has a good year with the Dodgers now, let's say they lose a year, I assume the contract wouldn't be paid out. So he'd still have the 3 years if there's a lost season. I'm not a contract expert or anything, but let's say they play the 1 year, there's a lockout, then he can play his age 31 season with the Dodgers and opt out after that if he comes back looking, the way he has when he's been healthy. Man, the chance to hit free agency again at age 31, tail end of your prime, but as long as the numbers are good, that's a boon for players that just don't get that opportunity very often.
I mean, yeah, he came out of 136 games played last year with the Cubs, 133 hits, batted .266, 22 homers, 73 RBIs. A little down from his, 2022, 2023 season, but he's still in the prime of his career, like you said, and not many, a lot of these guys sign, 9-year deals, 8-year deals, and then sometimes that comes to backfire on teams. So the Dodgers did the smart thing and often the short term outbid the Mets pretty much was what social media said. And that's the price was right. I mean, that's the slogan we're saying for Price Stanford, but this is the price for baseball here.
Right.
So crazy scenario, because now you have multiple time All-Stars, Silver Sluggers batting back to back. I mean, the Dodgers,
would you take them or the AL All-Star team?
They might be the NL. The Royals are scheduled to play the NL All-Star team in August. So
right.
Will they, I mean, it's wild. I mean, how many All-Stars do you think they could get?
Every single player on that starting lineup that we mentioned before has the potential to do it. I would bet against Pages. I'd bet against Edman. Other than that, and probably Teoscar. He didn't age the best.
But then you need at least one from your Rockies and stuff. So some of these guys might just have great numbers, great All-Star voting. But you're not going to make the cut.
I don't know. I mean, I think a safe guess would be 3 of them, Shohei and 2 others, and maybe a pitcher in there as well.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that number couldn't climb.
I mean, the Royals did that one year when the fan vote, when they took
Justice for Omar and Fonte.
They took over the fan vote. I mean, they're going to be they're the most popular team to a casual baseball fan. Everybody knows who Shohei Ohtani is. They've been in the World Series the last 2 years, so everybody knows who Mookie Betts is, who Freddie Freeman is, who some of these role players on the team are, like Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman's had a really great MLB career.
Yeah.
He's overshadowed because there's 5, MVP candidates on the roster.
Right.
It's just a crazy world, because now you have the Padres, who are the NL West. It's been a tough division the last couple of years. The Padres have been competitive. The Diamondbacks have been up there. They were just in a World Series a couple of years ago. I just don't see how teams compete with them if they're healthy and everything just goes the Dodgers' way, because one of these guys can get hurt. It's like, all right, we still have 3 or 4 guys who can carry the load for this team.
Let's go to our starter Heyman Jewelers text line here. Cubsker says, Tucker switched up quick. He went from I want to be the face of a franchise to not even a top 6 player in the organization. At least he won't get booed when he strikes out on a fastball middle with the playoff advancement potential on the line. Cubsker, you sound a little jilted, a little jaded there. And I get it. I'll say this. I think the first comments from Kyle Tucker about him wanting to be the face of the franchise were more the exception than the rule. Most of the reporting I've seen that this is a pretty good fit for Kyle Tucker, because he doesn't necessarily want to shoulder that load, especially out in LA. This is a guy that can be a superstar, just focus on baseball without having to do some of the superstar stuff that he would have done as kind of the replacement face for Correa and Bregman in Houston. You could argue maybe it was going to be Yordan Alvarez, but those 2 guys were pretty close. Framber Valdez, maybe. But either way, certainly one of the faces there. And in Chicago, could have been his franchise, but would it really have been? As that hired mercenary, maybe if he resigns, it becomes his team. But it still feels like that's, is that Dansby Swanson's team? Is that I don't know who else it could possibly be at this point. I mean, now it's Alex Bregman, right? And we'll get to that in a minute. But, who was the franchise cornerstone for the Cubs? An intriguing young team without that no doubt superstar, for sure outside of Kyle Tucker. Like if Nico Horner's the face of your franchise,
yeah,
Shota Imanaga, Seiya Suzuki, good player, but not like that. You trade Owen Casey away now as a potential young guy that could have come up to do that. So no, I think it actually fits with what we've thought Kyle Tucker, has been his mindset and his personality. Ryan P says, what's your guys' way to combat this payroll discrepancy? The players won't sign off on a salary cap, but should there be a payroll floor just so we can keep the games somewhat competitive? First word, Nick, go for it.
That's way out of our pay grade. That's the first thing. I mean, I remember we did get a little bit of a lockout a couple of years ago, and it was ugly. And the COVID year discussing that season, that was ugly too. It's probably going to get ugly. And, you can point fingers whoever you want, but you just have to sit down and somehow come to an agreement because you're going to.
Oh, and Phil's does throw out PCA. Yeah, my bad. Forgot Pete Crow Armstrong. Good call.
There it is. But yeah, you're gonna lose fans if it gets ugly.
Yeah.
There's gonna be multiple factors. You can point fingers to MLB. You can point fingers at the MLBPA. I just think it's just taken so long, and they've kind of just allowed this to kind of happen, where one team's just been able to sign everybody and be able to use the deferrals as a factor, and you have teams. This is also on the owners of other teams like the Pirates. Paul Skeens is coming up here in a couple of years. Are they willing to pay him? We don't know. There's been rumors of him linked to the Yankees even last summer. You had Yankee fans showing up in Paul Skeens Yankee jerseys, and he's not even thrown a pitch for you yet.
Yeah.
There's just, it's a small market team. Like you kind of want that salary cap, but you have to come to an agreement with everybody. And there's people saying this, people saying that. It's just a wild scenario where we're in the year of 2026, going to be 2027 when this happens, where I don't know what baseball would look like. I wasn't alive for lockouts back then. I was alive, but I wasn't watching baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the closest I think we've come to a true lockout is, they had the shortened season a little bit. The NBA had that 66-game season.
Started the season on Christmas?
Right,
yes.
Later one, and you had the NFL refs hold out with the Fail Mary and all that.
I forgot about that,
But not the true labor stoppage in one of those big three. Back to Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Yeah, Phil and Cubsker both say Pete Crow Armstrong. 007 says, baseball is finally starting to come back. Horrible time for a lockout. I hope it doesn't happen. In response to that, let me read this from Ken Rosenthal, writing for The Athletic. Again, baseball's playing field needs to be more level, but as other leagues have shown, a cap is not necessarily a panacea for competitive balance, even with an accompanying salary floor. Owners who salivate over the idea of such a system increasing their franchise value seem to forget that a prolonged work stoppage would set those values back. And the owners almost certainly are not getting a cap without losing a chunk or all of the 2027 season. So here's what Ken Rosenthal proposes. So stiffen the luxury tax penalties for the Dodgers and the other big spenders. Increase revenue sharing for the small market teams, give them additional draft picks, come up with other creative solutions to help them better compete. The Dodgers hold big advantages, sure, but they're hell-bent on winning, and their success does not stem solely from spending. Let's see other teams compete as fervently to the best their resources will allow. Then let's have a conversation about the future of the sport. I like a lot of what Ken Rosenthal is saying there. It strikes me as maybe a little pie in the sky, idealistic, because even if you do have a floor and a cap, you have to make sure that all your franchises are well run and trending in the right direction, right? I mean, think about how long the Patriots dominated the AFC East because other teams just couldn't get out of their way, couldn't draft, couldn't develop, couldn't hire head coaches. The way the Chiefs did it, yeah, sure, they got some lucky breaks, but they drafted well, they developed well, and they spent well. No one else won that division for almost a decade, and that's a salary cap sport. Think about the NBA, right? It's been the same franchises, right? What did we get tired of? It was just LeBron and Cleveland against the Warriors in the finals. That's a salary cap league. It's not like Rosenthal is saying, a panacea to say, oh, yep, salary cap and everyone's going to spend. No, free agents will still want to go to the better teams that are better run, even if the money is comparable, or even, if Pittsburgh would offer more money against this hypothetical salary cap to Paul Skeens, if Pittsburgh still can't develop offense, if Pittsburgh isn't going to go out and make those trade deadline moves to bolster when they have a chance, no matter what the money is, you're not going to want to be a part of that team, right? Sure, there will be those fringier guys, maybe baseball's DeMar DeRozan or whatever, right? That might just go for the money, or Russell Westbrook hanging on, not putting up great stats, but just has to go get the next contract. And I like Russ, but he's just kind of hanging around at this point, right? James Harden taking a bag in some ways. There are just so many, Zach LaVine potentially, right? Guys like that, and find your baseball equivalent. I don't have those offhand. Those guys might just chase the bag, might just chase the biggest offer. But for your big superstars who legacy matters for, like Paul Skeens can dominate, and I mean dominate the sport of baseball, but without a ring, he's Dan Marino.
He's just there.
He can be the best guy we've ever seen take the mound. And I'm sure for some young kid out there watching baseball for the first time, Paul Skeens very well might be the best pitcher they ever watched. But if he doesn't have a ring, he'll get brought up, but he won't ever be able to be the GOAT without a ring.
He won't be in that top pitchers, because there are a lot of really good pitchers in history, but he'll never be on that top level. He'll be in that middle level.
Even if the talent dictates that he should be up there. Cupskirt throws this out. What about big market teams that parade around as small market teams, i.e. the Cubs, Pirates, maybe the Rangers? Well, the Rangers spent and they won a World Series. I will give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for now. But, I mean, Baltimore is big enough to spend, I would think, and they really haven't. The Angels spend, but spend poorly if they spend at all. The Nationals are really hit or miss with it. That's a big enough market.
Who's
the White Sox?
The Nationals are like the last small market team to win a World Series. It was them and the Royals, really.
I struggle to call Washington, D.C. a small market. It's an important city.
It is. It was at the time. I remember they were the talk of baseball. Took down the Astros, but the Royals are probably the last team to put together a team where it was all through the draft, development. And you mentioned development. The Dodgers
and a couple savvy trades,
and the Dodgers are one of the best development programs in baseball. Like not
okay.
Just,
let me stop you right there, because Rosenthal wrote about that as well.
I figured
Diaz and Tucker preferred to go short with the Dodgers rather than to do it with the Mets, who lack the Dodgers' recent history of success, and in both cases made lower offers. The Blue Jays offered Tucker a higher guarantee than the Dodgers over a longer term but lower average annual value. The Red Sox pulled off a Dodgers-type deal last offseason when they signed Alex Bregman, then wilted this offseason trying to keep him. Signing free agents who reject qualifying offers comes with an additional price, one many teams often balk at paying. The Dodgers, because they exceeded the luxury tax last season, forfeited their second and fifth highest draft picks, plus $1 million in their international bonus pool for Edwin Diaz. Then they forfeited their third and sixth highest picks in the upcoming draft for Kyle Tucker. This isn't the first time in recent years the Dodgers forfeited picks. They also sacrificed their second and fifth highest to sign Freddie Freeman prior to 2022, and second and fifth highest picks to sign Shohei Ohtani prior to 2024. Yet the Athletics' Keith Law last year rated the Dodgers farm system the third best in the game. Not bad considering what? They haven't had a top 10 pick since 2006 and haven't had a top 5 pick since 1993.
They know how to develop talent.
They know how to draft. They know how to develop. And I get it. Baseball's draft system is so different than the NFL and the NBA, where you have your kind of consensus big boards. You can make your deals. But it doesn't change the fact that Dodgers have been among the best, if not the best team at identifying fit and maximizing what they get out of their players, both on the field and as trade chips. Like, that's astounding. Not a top 10 pick in 20 years and not a top 5 pick in 30 plus years. And they still have a top farm system in baseball.
And that's on top of spending money, breaking in MVPs, winning championships. It all goes together. And that's, they're checking every box and hitting every single mark.
Yeah.
And they're just not missing.
Yeah.
We've seen guys, as Royals fans, the Royals for a long time picked in the top 10 and they couldn't
do jack diddly or squat.
They struck out every pick they made. And what happened? They didn't develop talent well in the minors. They obviously didn't spend money because they won it. And 100 loss season after 100 loss season. It just happened. Yeah. Then they hit a guy named Bobby Witt Jr. and everybody got excited about that. He was coming out of high school in Texas and that, they made the playoffs. That was awesome. They just have to, if they spent money a little bit more, developed a little bit better, who knows? The sky's the limit. But the Dodgers are spending money, bring in guys like Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and now Kyle Tucker on top of all that. It's just, they're just above all.
Yeah. So Ryan P., I guess to answer your question, how would we combat payroll? I think you just got to keep bottlenecking the top of the sport, right? Make it as hard of a ceiling as you possibly can. We've seen the NBA really cranked it up, and I don't love that. I have my issues with it, but teams are deathly afraid of that second apron. Would that influence the Dodgers? Doesn't seem like it, because like we just talked about, even without their, premium draft selections, they still draft and develop well. Because of their reputation, teams are going to be more, or players are going to be more willing to listen to being traded there or signing a free agent deal there. So there's only so much you can do if the Dodgers continue to just say, we don't care, penalize us all you want. We have the money, we have the resources, and really the brain power to overcome this, despite what you're going to do. It's not as simple as give the middle teams more money, give them more draft picks. Would it hurt? Probably not. But it's all about how they use them. It's not about what you have. It's about how you use it. And that being draft, picks, that being money, those being players as well. The Dodgers are just doing it better than everyone else right now. They're not inevitable. And that's why I go to this from Phil. The Dodgers will be an utter and total failure any year they don't win the World Series. I would definitely fire the manager if they don't bring home the trophy, and I don't ever want to hear injury excuses. That completely misses the point of the game of baseball.
You're going to lose games. You're going to lose, but
the Dodgers lose 60 times a year.
I mean, they had a slump last year at a point.
Everyone does. It's natural. The point is, yes, it's harder to beat them in the longer a series is, right? If you can get them in a best of 5 and, win 3 of the first 4, huge. You did it. It's hard to do. I get it. But it's not supposed to be easy to beat them. It's not supposed to be easy to win in the postseason. There's not supposed to be a cheat code. And yes, the Dodgers lineup in rotation and now kind of the back end of their bullpen looks like a cheat code. But hey, behold the God who bleeds. I mean, we just talked about it to start the show. The Blue Jays pushed them, had them to the brink, all the way up on the edge of the cliff. They led 3-2 in the series.
Yeah, one ball goes past an outfielder. The diving play at the wall there. That falls.
Blue Jays are World Series champs.
Exactly. It's baseball is a sport where you can win 100 games, but you're also going to lose 60 some. And the Padres were. I mean, the Dodgers weren't in first place last year for the most part. They struggled, and people. I mean, Dave Roberts will always get criticized, but he's one of. They put him in a great position. He's a good manager. He's been around forever, and with that also adds on top of the talent they have in their development. You have a solid manager, a solid GM. You're spending money. I mean, yes, the World Series, sky's the limit for them. That is going to be the expectation. The expectations are high when you're playing for the Dodgers now.
Yeah.
But they aren't, they're not the 73-9 Warriors where, they didn't lose. They came out on top.
Well, no, they did lose in the championship. They lost in 7.
Yes, it's a crazy scenario where they're just above all and everything checking the boxes right.
Okay, Phil, exactly my point. Almost losing to the Blue Jays is underperforming for that talented roster. That's like you're saying the other 29 teams have no chance and have no strengths. The Blue Jays, in some ways, were built to beat the Dodgers because they didn't strike out, they didn't chase, and they hit the ball hard, and they were able to hit it over the wall, right? That's why, we've talked about this. I don't know if it was you and me or you and Tristan talking about Millard South, right? And football must have been me and Tristan talking about football.
Like,
at this point, some of these schools have advantages. Some of these teams have advantages, but part of the thrill of the chase is getting creative, is taking your shot, is finding ways around it, right? The Blue Jays had plenty of strengths too. The Blue Jays weren't some sad sack just happy to be their team. The Blue Jays, let's not forget, were the top seed in the American League and had home field advantage in the World Series. Okay, let's not let the other 29 teams off the hook. The Dodgers were injured. Yeah, the Dodgers maybe underperformed, but don't give the Blue Jays short shrift. Don't give the Padres Padres had them down in the DS too before the Dodgers came back and won that series as well. Don't let those other teams off the hook. I will agree that the money and the resources give the Dodgers more margin for error, and that their depth is probably better than every team in baseball. They have more options. And if that's a problem for you, fine. We can have that conversation. And that's where maybe the luxury tax or the draft penalties could come back to bite them in the long run. But even as currently constructed, as recently as last year, the Dodgers had their backs against the wall and were one game away from being eliminated. Padres couldn't do it. Blue Jays couldn't do it. So that's the beauty of baseball, is that no matter how good you are, baseball is probably the most any given night sport, and yeah, stacking nights is hard. I've admitted that, but that's the joy. That's the beauty of October, is that when you ride a scrappy underdog team off. I mean, look at the Royals in 2014, built like no other team in baseball history, going up against probably the greatest player of his generation in Mike Trout.
Swept them.
The 1 seed, they swept him out of the playoffs. It's not easy, but it's worth it when you do it. And there are enough teams that have a fighting chance that I'm not saying, oh, scrap the system, oh, blow it up. Just get a little bit better, take your shot, and then just don't miss.
It's an individual sport where it's a team sport, but you could have a team of all-stars and somehow, I mean, the Royals beat the Dodgers last year, and the Royals were not great.
Not the games I was there, but whatever.
They won. I mean, winning one of 4 in a series. I mean, for the Royals, I mean, at that time it was, you'd think they were going to get swept just because games are, you play it on paper. It's like, oh, the Dodgers are better pitching, better hitting, better defense probably than the Royals. But baseball is a sport where anybody can beat anybody, not just in the pros. You can see it in college.
Yeah.
I mean, Nebraska struggled against some weekday games against Omaha and
for
stuff,
years.
And they still win the Big Ten title.
Yeah.
They come in hot in Omaha in the Big Ten tournament and win it. Baseball is a sport just about controlling what you can control. Don't get too high. When you get too high, don't get too low. Wipe the slate clean to the ballpark. And the Dodgers have the luxury of having all-stars, potential silver sluggers, MVPs on their roster. That it's a sport where they're going to lose. And will they take their lumps? Yes. But they have the luxury of having such a deep lineup that they're, guaranteed a playoff spot. They're going to be the favorites, but that doesn't mean, season, why even play this season? We saw the Padres and the Blue Jays prove that you may not have the best players, but you can compete until the final out against the Giant.
And both those teams had pretty darn good players on.
Exactly.
49-90. The Dodgers are now the old school Yankees from the 90s through early 2000s, and people can't handle it. Yeah, it does seem like the balance of power has shifted out that way. We went half an hour, barely even mentioned Bo Bichette going to the Mets. He'll be playing third base with Marcus Semien entrenched at second base. Bo Bichette was thought to be a Philly, but Phillies kind of putzed around. They went to bed thinking they would land him, but within a day of losing out on Kyle Tucker, then about 14 hours, the Mets pivot and they land Bo Bichette. Another interesting contract, 3 years, $126 million, so $42 million a year for a guy that would have led the Mets in batting average by 39 points last year. Mets really like him, and better for them, they kind of sweep the rug out from under the feet of division rival Philadelphia. We got to take our first break. We're up against it. We'll continue these conversations and more when we get back to Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and wow, what a year it was at Koppel. The Koppel family would like to say thank you for a record-setting sales year in 2025. Now let's start 2026 off with a bang. New GMC Sierra pickups starting at $12,500 off list or 0% APR. Also hot off the presses, new Terrain leases at $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month on new GMC Terrain leases. So please stop on in the store or online at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G13885 and G16518. 2,500 down with proof credit.
You started your business to build something special. Now it's time to grow and protect it. At Pinnacle Bank, our treasury management services help you do just that. Through smarter payment technology, account administration, and fraud protection. So no matter the size of your business, you can get the most out of your financial operations. Request your free consultation at pinbank.com/consult. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Tired of asking what's for dinner? Nourished for Life has got you covered. At Nourished, they're a local meal prep company that delivers fresh, chef-crafted, healthy meals straight to your door. Made from wholesome ingredients and ready when you are. No shopping, no chopping. Just heat, eat, and enjoy every night of the week. Fuel your busy days with balanced meals that are designed to keep you satisfied and energized. Visit nourishedforlife.co to purchase meals and taste the convenience of home-cooked comfort without the hassle.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination. Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School, Hour 1, presented by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. They got all sorts of great stuff going on down there in Hallam. They offer free estimates, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family-owned with their own team of installers. Give them a call today for more information. You can do so at 402-430-3852 or by visiting them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Austin Orman here, Nick Wyman there. Let's keep the chatter going. You guys have lots of thoughts here on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Let's get to 1611. It is the point, though. There's about 5 teams that have a legit shot. That's it. And it's based on money spent. As much as they spend, they should never not be in the World Series. The playing field needs leveled, period. Depth is better by far. Backs against the wall because they underperformed. Yes, parity is more prevalent, but it still comes down to about 5 teams who have a shot. That's it. Yes, there are outliers, but overall, those are facts. Okay, if you want facts, how about this? What if I told you in the last, I think, 40 or 50 years of the NBA, there's been one team that was not a top 3 seed to win an NBA championship? Okay.
It doesn't sound crazy. I mean,
no, it's fact. That's a fact.
It's usually the 1, 2, 3 seed. And I mean, the Heat were like the only team to make the finals when Jimmy Butler was going nuts.
Yeah.
And push the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Too. And the Nuggets ended up winning, which they were the better team by far.
How many teams do you ever count on having a legitimate shot to win the Super Bowl in the NFL? You have the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt, the Eagles the benefit of the doubt, and then, I mean, Jay Foreman always says there are 8 teams actively trying to win in the NFL in any given year. That's a quarter of the league. Okay, that's not, and that's maybe on the high end some years as well, right? Some teams, will play well and get into, a high playoff seed, and maybe they'll make a run, but maybe it surprised them. Maybe they're a year ahead of schedule, like maybe the Commanders last year, right? Mm-hmm. Were they trying to win? I don't think they were trying to lose like they were when they got Jaden Daniels, but I think they were ahead of schedule in a good way, and that should be rewarded. This is why it's unfortunate to see them kind of crumble the way they did this year with the injury to Jaden Daniels. But you can say that in pretty much any sport, I think, baseball included. You can tell me that there's only 5 teams that have a legitimate shot, but how many are actually trying to win, right? How many are actually putting the pedal to the metal? And Cubskirt throws out the Royals and waiting to see the Royals' moves and what they might do. I think the Royals have had a really good offseason to this point, but you know what could have made the Royals' offseason even better is if they would have gone out and, I don't know, signed a corner outfield to improve a bottom 3 outfield offense in all of baseball over the course of the last decade. Last year wasn't a 1-year black eye. Guess what? I mean, you go get a left-handed bat and Kyle Tucker to shore up your corner outfield. Even if, you're going to make it just a short-term deal. If he wants the high annual average value, okay. Did you offer? Did you talk? Are you going to get him? Probably not. But how much did you pursue him? What would really help the Royals was getting a right-handed bat to balance out the lineup. Shore up second base, really the only position on their infield that's not locked down. And get a guy that plays really well to the ballpark in Bo Bichette. How interested were the Royals in signing him? Were they going to give him $42 million per year? Probably not. And if he wanted a short-term, high AAV deal, then yeah, the Royals were probably out. But those are 2 guys there that could have legitimately helped the Royals position themselves as the favorites or co-favorites with the Tigers in the American League Central. Sure, maybe the deck stacked against them a little bit, but you can't tell me there was 0 chance the Royals should have looked into this guy. Oh, they're never going to get him. They'll never consider Kansas City. Guess what? Royals are on the upswing. Guess what? Royals have been increasing their payroll year after year. You want to prove you're serious about winning? Go do something you've never done before. Spend the money and get these good players. I'm not saying grandfather offer them, or godfather offer them, make them something they can't refuse and hamstring yourself as a franchise. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, were you competitive? Were you in those conversations? Or did you talk yourself out of getting into the conversation?
And the AL Central is wide open.
Gettable.
The Tigers obviously have Terry Skubal for now.
Right.
We talked about that last week with the arbitration stuff. The Royals are kind of just that middle ground. Their biggest signing this summer. I mean, what is it? Lane Thomas? I mean, he batted like 160 last year with Cleveland. It is what it is.
They did more work in trades than free agency,
to be fair. And they have, Kyle Isbell's going to be there and play center field more than likely. You still have Bobby Witt. You got Vinny. Jack Hylian. You're hoping he has a better a sophomore campaign when he's fully up there. Then you have the Twins, who pretty much sold their entire roster. Cleveland's still going to be Cleveland. They're always competitive. Mm-hmm. The AL Central is just always wide open. Every year it feels, the Tigers, like you said, are going to be the favorites, but the other 4 teams are not far behind. And if you land if the Royals somehow landed a big name and got a Bo Bichette, or like you said, that probably pushes the needle and puts them in front. I would say. Obviously the Tigers have been nailing everything developmental wise, and they have probably one of the top 2 pitchers, and he's not number 2. It's just a conversation that, it depends what a player wants. And you have to have those conversations because you never know. Maybe a guy, one of these guys could be from a Missouri area or somewhere in the Midwest, and they want to stay close to home. You never know that. Mm-hmm. You never know. But like the Dodgers right now are the only ones really trying to an extent. The Mets are up there. Steve Cohen put out that tweet that I see smoke or whatever. Mm-hmm. That was probably for Bo Bichette. Now he can fall back on, but yeah. There's only so many teams that are spending and trying to an extent. We don't know that.
Mm-hmm. But let me get to this then from 1611 who follows up. There were 15 to 16 teams this year in the NFL that had a shot. How loosely are you defining had a shot?
Just making the playoffs?
Yeah. If you're saying if making the playoffs gives you a shot, then we have to apply that logic in baseball too.
Like the Royals,
we have to.
Royals made the playoffs.
The Royals didn't get a shot. The Royals had a shot. They ended up a handful of games out of playoff contention. But if you're telling me there are 15 or 16 teams in the NFL that had a shot, I completely disagree with that premise. You had Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore as your Super Bowl contenders in the AFC going into the year. You drop off Kansas City and Baltimore from that list. You add New England, I think, pretty comfortably. And then, Jacksonville, Houston got hot. Were they serious Super Bowl contenders going into the year? No, those were make the playoff teams.
Denver,
the Chargers and Denver were, hey, let's get into the playoffs and see what happens. Did you really consider them as teams that had a legitimate non-zero chance outside of a miracle run to make a Super Bowl? No, but they played better on the field and they earned it. The NFC, wide open. I mean, you have 3 NFC West teams in there. The Eagles still won the East and fell back to the pack. The Bears go from worst to first, essentially, and get the 2 seed. The Packers swung the big trade and didn't have it. But, the Commanders, you would have thought, nope, they fell out. The Lions weren't at all the same. The Niners, maybe give them a shot. They didn't play like it at the start of the year and they were injured. They really rounded into form. I mean, you can maybe tell me there were 10 teams that had a legit shot in the NFL, but if you're telling me half the league had designs on winning the Super Bowl this year, that's where you lose me. Let's get to this from Phil here before we go to break as well. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Their roster isn't taking a step back. They've bolstered the roster in a way no one else does or can. I would emphasize does over can, but can comes into play as well. Yes, some other organizations should do better, but there are only a few that can keep pace with what the Dodgers are doing financially. It's maybe 2 or 3 teams against everyone. That I agree. Here's where I'll push back, though, Phil, on your next text. I will give the 90s Yankees some credit for having a number of their good players being homegrown and not just all paid mercenaries like the Dodgers are doing. The Dodgers, in some ways, feel like the transfer portal all-stars, right? They feel like the free agency all-stars. But, I mean, Mookie Betts acquired through trade. How do you acquire a guy through a trade? You give up some really promising young talent that you drafted.
That goes back to development.
It goes back to drafting and development. And it goes back to, hey, guess what? The Red Sox were dumb to make that trade. You took advantage of an organization that had no idea what it was doing at the time. Freddie Freeman was a free agent. He was out there. Why didn't Atlanta re-sign him? Is that on the Dodgers or is that on the Braves for not re-signing a franchise icon? And they did pretty well in the guy they got in Matt Olson, but the Dodgers just said, okay, we'll take him. Will Smith drafted, Kyle Tucker signed, Teoscar Hernandez signed in free agency, hasn't lived up to the billing, kind of fell off a cliff last year. Max Muncy bounced around the league a little bit before the Dodgers got him. They developed him into the guy that he is today. Andy Pages drafted, Tommy Edman, traded for, but kind of a fringy, let's just see what we can do kind of signing. Pitching, okay, you can tell me, sure, but, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, those are all guys with risk. The Dodgers were able to take on the risk. Yamamoto coming over from Japan. Yeah, they offered him a boatload of money. They were also more comfortable with the risk, and they did it. I mean, Diaz, same thing, coming off of a knee injury, a pretty bad one. It pitched pretty well, but the Dodgers were comfortable with that risk like no one else was. So, yeah, I mean, they've done a lot of free agency signings, but a lot of their pieces they've acquired through trade is only possible because of the way they draft and they develop. Teams don't have to accept these deals. They don't have to. But because the Dodgers always want to win, because they're always pushing the envelope, and other teams are okay to give their best players to the Dodgers for young talent that they don't know how to develop as well, you'd be stupid not to make those deals if you're the Dodgers.
I mean, the Mookie Betts one is the one that stands out above the rest, 100%. Because I remember when that one happened, I was like, okay, what are they getting in return here? Not a whole lot. The Mookie Betts he's flourished at the Dodgers. Look at a guy like Tyler Glasnow. That guy couldn't stay healthy for a while. Like you said, the risk versus the reward. And the Dodgers are taking risks where they can, and they're getting the reward out of it. They're not missing anywhere. Like I can't name you one free agent that they've signed or traded for or whatever that have they missed. Every single one. Like Tommy Edman bounced around the league for a while, played with the Cardinals, etc. But he's a good foundation to their lineup. You need somebody who can hit a couple base hits, keep the line moving. He's one of those guys. Andy Pages, same thing. And he stepped up a lot last couple of years. It's a team that's just
Michael Conforto they signed last year, trying to get him to bounce back. He was worth less than a win above replacement. In fact, he was a negative player for them. I mean, that's just one from last year. And I get it's the exception that proves the rule. They're not perfect. And again, I agree. They have more margin for error than pretty much everyone else. But in Jason Hayward at the end of his career didn't really do much for them. I get why they would make the move. Kevin Kiermaier didn't exactly shore up the hole that they thought he was going to for them. And again, these are just kind of nitpicking
they're low risk,
examples,
risk. And if they do work out, they're high reward, but then you have so much everything else to lean on that's hit right.
Yeah. So I don't want to kneecap the Dodgers just because we're angry. I would rather see other teams raise their level, which is where, again, I think if you increase the luxury tax penalty, spread more of those rev share dollars around, and keep taking draft picks, from teams that go into the luxury tax in the long run, that could balance things out. But again, are you going to know what to do with those extra draft picks? Are you still going to draft a savvy? Just because you have more money, are you actually going to spend it on players and on making your roster better? I really doubt it. And Phil, you come from the top rope. Remember when the Colts looked like they had a shot? LOL, couldn't resist. I thought we were having a really nice conversation.
Dang.
I thought we were enjoying talking baseball here in January. And then Phil, you come in off the top rope.
Tough.
And it just
tough, Phil. Tough.
It hurts. I got to take it. I got to wear it. I do remember when the Colts had a shot.
A couple months ago.
There's always 2027.
Yep.
Not even 2026. I'm just out on the 2026.
You're just looking for another year.
Bring it on. All right. We'll go to break. Wrap up Power 1 in a sec.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and wow, what a year it was at Koppel. The Koppel family would like to say thank you for a record-setting sales year in 2025. Now let's start 2026 off with the bang. New GMC Sierra pickups starting at $12,500 off list or 0% APR. Also hot off the presses, new Terrain leases at $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month on new GMC Terrain leases. So please stop on in the store or online at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G138852 and G16518. 2,500 down with proof credit.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. battery checks, the brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Need service? Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Whew, I'm just so excited that we've been talking so much baseball. It's a lot going on in that realm. I have indeed thrown a baseball through a window. And if you're a kid that's thrown a baseball through a window or a parent of a kid that's thrown a baseball through a window, get your replacement from Heartland of Nebraska Windows. You can learn more by calling them at 402-430-3852 or by visiting them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Some news out of the University of Nebraska Athletic Department. Nick, Nebraska adding women's flag football as the 25th varsity sport.
Historic. I mean,
Indeed.
Historic. The first Power 4 school to do this. Expectations start the first season for the women's flag football program in the spring of 2028. It's the first sport that Nebraska athletics have added since 2013, which was beach volleyball. Currently, entering the 2025-2026 season, 40 NCAA schools plan to sponsor women's flag football. So pretty historic day. Power 4 schools. I mean, I don't think Nebraska will be the only one.
No,
There's
highly
still
doubt it.
Nebraska has time to find a coach and put together a roster, but exciting because it's been 12, 13 years since they've added a program.
Mhm.
Beach volleyball, pretty easy to put together because you have a volleyball program and easy to throw together right there. This is, I mean, they played the Husker games last year.
Mhm.
That was kind of the origin sort of for their outbreak to the community. And there's been a lot of feedback, and now it's going to be a full-fledged thing spring of 2028.
It is. And per the article that I'm reading from the Omaha World Herald, Nebraska does aim to have 15 scholarship players on the roster, which makes me wonder if this is to get closer to Title IX compliance or give them some wiggle room maybe on the men's side.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's cool to see, just like, because flag football has not only just been a conversation in collegiately and flag football, you see it in, the Pro Bowl games are now a flag football game. High schools around the country are starting to have it be a thing. It's the same thing with like men's volleyball. Men's volleyball is starting to grow not only at the collegiate level, but also high school. The NSA has also tried to put boys volleyball thing, flag football be a thing. So a historic announcement for sure, because it's been on the back burner for a while. I feel like now you have this announcement, date set. People are going to be excited about it. And I'm sure Nebraska fans will eat it up.
I'm a little surprised that it wasn't women's wrestling before women's flag football, but I know that both those sports have some momentum behind them. Let's go ahead and take our break here. We're up against the top of the hour. Keep you posted on an arrival time for Jay Foreman. If he's not here, it'll be me and Nick rolling into hour 2 of Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
It's the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at NebraskaDeerandGameExpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
An emergency can happen any moment. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. At CHI Health, we stand ready to care for any emergency. Our specialists provide expert care when you need it most and believe healing is more powerful when delivered with human kindness. When seconds matter, know CHI Health St. Elizabeth is accredited in stroke care and offers the region's only ER just for kids. Learn more at chihealth.com/St. Elizabeth Emergency.
Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter and mixed martial artist Anthony Lionheart Smith. The Upside Bar and Lounge in South Lincoln is the go-to spot for every UFC event, prelims, and main card. There's never a cover, so make sure you get there early and stay late. Upside Bar and Lounge has daily specials, a margarita club, and a taco club. And don't forget, they just added Buzz Bowls to their menu. Learn more about upcoming events by visiting UpsideBarLNK.com and stop into their South Lincoln location for every UFC event on 27th and Pine Lake.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and wow, what a year it was at Koppel. The Koppel family would like to say thank you for a record-setting sales year in 2025. Now let's start 2026 off with the bang. New GMC Sierra pickups starting at $12,500 off list or 0% APR. Also hot off the presses, new Terrain leases at $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month on new GMC Terrain leases. So please stop on in the store or online at koppelcars.com. Stock numbers G138852 and G165184. 2,500 down with proof credit.
Husker Nation, the countdown is on for the biggest women's basketball event of the year, PAC PBA, coming up January 24th. This year, we're heating things up with the Big Red Beach Party. Watch your Huskers take on Big Ten opponent Illinois, decked out in your best tropical gear, with a specialty tropical drink in hand, all inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. PAC PBA is your tropical getaway right here in Lincoln. Get your tickets today at huskers.com/PACPBA.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Hog Wild has a delicious way for you to enjoy beef brisket. It's our open-faced hot beef sandwich. We start with our grilled Texas toast. Add a scoop of creamy mashed potatoes. Load them up with some tender Hog Wild beef brisket and top it off with our tasty brown gravy. It's absolutely delicious. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in hour 2 of Old School here on a Friday. Sun starting to peek out from behind the clouds in the capital city. Us Norman and Nick Wyman with you here on Old School 4. Now, Old School, as always, brought to you by Graham Tire. Graham Tire Company celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. They're more than just tires. They do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. 402-464-5685. Appreciate everyone's thoughts and conversations here on our baseball discussions. Got to some of you over the break, just responded with the text. We're going to move on now. If you have any other lingering thoughts on baseball, I'm sure we'll be happy to take them as well. But I do want to talk some Husker football now, Nick. Miami's offense being led by a Dana Holgorsen protege in Shannon Dawson. A lot of connections there back from times at West Virginia, and then also especially at Houston once Dana Holgorsen became the head coach of the Cougars. Reading through ESPN's breakdown of the national championship, specifically more the statistical end of things from Bill Connolly, one of my favorites over there. He gets to a section, Miami quarterback Carson Beck and offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson versus Indiana coordinator or defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes. Who would he give the edge to? And this just stopped me in my tracks. I didn't even get to the end of the article just because so much of this sounds like Nebraska or could sound like Nebraska. And in the chart that he throws out there also brings some stuff up with Nebraska. Anyways, from Bill Connolly's article, we can probably surmise that big burly man ball with an air raid route tree was the vision when Cristobal hired former Dana Holgorsen protege Shannon Dawson as offensive coordinator. We saw a particularly incredible version of that vision in 2024 as physical running back Damian Martinez rushed for 1,000 yards while Cam Ward was winging the ball all over the field and making himself a top draft pick. The 2025 edition hasn't been as smooth to watch, resorting to lowest common denominator ball that focuses primarily on avoiding negative plays, even if it means almost never creating big plays. The Hurricanes run on standard downs and pass on passing downs, and Beck's main job has simply been to keep the chains moving and the defense off the field. Miami has topped 40 points only twice in its past 12 games and has averaged just 19.3 offensive points per game in the college football playoff. But the Hurricanes' average time of possession is 5th nationally, and they've averaged an impressive 37 minutes and 21 seconds in the past 2 games. Consequently, the Miami defense hasn't been on the field much and has allowed 14.7 points per game in the college football playoff. There's not much margin for error in this style of ball, but while Beck's numbers pale in comparison to Ward's, he's doing his job. All right, that was a lot of words. But then you pull up the chart that Connolly puts out there. And the chart that I have in front of me has Miami in this bottom right sort of quadrant. Their success rate, which is you're gaining, more than 50% of the necessary yardage on first and second down, and then converting on third and fourth down, obviously. Miami is, top quarter, top third of the country, successful enough. They have a quote-unquote successful play about 47% of the time. Indiana is second most successful offense in the country by success rate, trailing only Ohio State. But Miami, not particularly explosive. They rank just ahead of Georgia in these rankings, and this is actually down toward, like the bottom 15% of college sports, whereas Indiana is about the 50th percentile in yards per explosive play. But then you look at that bottom right quadrant. You see Miami, they're highlighted, but directly adjacent to Miami, Penn State, Illinois with a similar success rate and ever so slightly more explosive, and Nebraska.
Interesting group of teams.
Nebraska's offensive success rate and yards per successful play were almost identical to Miami, which is interesting when I go back and I follow up on that first sentence, really. We can probably surmise that big burly man ball with an air raid route tree was the vision when Cristobal hired former Dana Holgorsen protege Shannon Dawson as offensive coordinator. Big burly man ball with an air raid route tree. Big burly man ball. Okay, Matt Rule wants to run the ball, stop the run, and dominate in the fourth quarter. You bring in Dana Holgorsen as offensive coordinator. Oh, here comes the air raid, right? Nebraska's going to huck it around the yard. Here it comes. Watch out. Well, okay, so Miami has a guy in Shannon Dawson that wants to do what Nebraska can do, or wants to do. Miami can do it. Doesn't seem like Nebraska's been there. Even though those kind of advanced numbers would tell you they're in the same ballpark, you can't tell me that Nebraska's offense was as good as Miami's this year, or certainly not last year, where maybe you have the ideal version of what a Matt Rule, offense looks like, where you have a 1,000-yard rusher in Damian Martinez, and that Miami team ran it 33 times a game for just under 6 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns per game on the ground. But they also threw it 38 times per game for about 3 touchdowns per game as well. Okay, so what does that tell you? They were multifaceted, and they got off the field on defense to give their offense more opportunities. It was so striking reading that from Bill Connolly saying, hey, this is what Nebraska wants to do. There's a model for it. Miami's done it with a guy that learned from the guy that's in charge of Nebraska's offense right now. But man, Nebraska hasn't been to that level.
That's a wild comparison. Like those, what was it? Penn State, Illinois, Miami, Nebraska were all kind of in the same realm. Illinois is finding success with Brett Bielema. Penn State obviously going through their James Franklin situation. Matt Campbell now coming in. Miami, I mean, at one point we didn't think there was going to be an ACC team in the playoff. At one point, they didn't even win their conference, and now here they are, one win away from winning a national title. What a wild comparison, because Nebraska's defense isn't that one that's going to get you off the field, and that's what Miami has. Miami's defense, I mean, I don't think you've seen the social media graphic of the offensive line of Indiana versus the defensive line size difference. Miami has a huge side. They have some dudes.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I think Nebraska is missing. If those numbers, those metrics match up. However, one team is competing for a national title while the other one is losing in the Las Vegas Bowl in a pretty large margin.
Which leads me to ask the question, what is Nebraska missing that Miami has? I think you would start up front on the offensive line, and we'll see if this new look offensive line out of the transfer portal changes that at all for Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska didn't have a bowling ball back like Damian Martinez, but Emma Johnson, certainly good enough, broke the 1,000 yards. Okay, they had the running back position figured out. And then you get to this from Bubba on the text line. Maybe that speaks to Dylan Raiola not being a fit here. I don't know. Are you telling me that Carson Beck is that much better than Dylan Raiola?
Carson Beck kind of
Cam Ward clearly is.
Carson Beck kind of reminds me of Michigan J.J. McCarthy. He just has to make a couple throws, and I think he might make better throws. We saw it in the Fiesta Bowl.
Maybe.
He made some really good throws. I mean, you have a guy like...
JJ dimed some guys up too. But
Exactly, but you're having a guy who just has to play clean ball, and the one times he didn't play clean ball were the 2 losses they have.
Yeah.
When he plays clean ball, and I think that guy just gets... Carson Beck just gets a lot of hate. I mean, he just wins. I mean, at Georgia, he won. Miami, I mean, he's playing for a national championship. At one point, I didn't think the ACC even had a chance to get in the playoff. Everyone was saying Notre Dame over them, and
the College Football Playoff Committee agreed.
They were right. They were right. A 10 seed, and they had to run the gauntlet to get there, and they earned their spot to be here. And they are 60 game minutes away from bringing the U back essentially, unless they're already back. I don't know. But they took a swing on Carson Beck, a guy who was coming off an injury that ended up giving Gunnar Stockton a chance. He comes into Miami. They put guys around him, put a really good defense around him. Where did they play? Was the offense exceptional against Ohio State in that playoff game? No. Defense did their thing, set them up for success, and that's what they do. They're just a well-oiled machine. And Mario Cristobal, it took a while to get it on the right track. There were moments where, against Georgia Tech, they don't take a knee, give Georgia Tech the ball, Georgia Tech wins. That was a moment. It was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? They have Cam Ward. Got him the number 1 pick. He comes from Washington State. Flashy, makes plays. They run the ball well. We're in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Put it all together this year. They're in a national championship.
Yeah.
What a season for them.
Last year's offense was certainly better than this year's offense, right? Maybe you can argue the other way, because this Miami team is in the national championship, and last year's team, quote unquote, settled for a Pop-Tarts Bowl appearance. But last year's team averaged 43.9 points per game. First out of 134 teams. This year's Miami team dropped all the way down to 31.6, which is 30th out of 136. So I think if you're talking just on the offensive side of things, what is Nebraska missing? I would say, number 1, the offensive line, right? We'll see if this group can improve, but Miami's gotten rave reviews for its offensive line, and deservedly so. I would say quarterback, right? Game manager, lowest common denominator ball, just get the ball out, don't make mistakes. How much of that's the quarterback? How much of that is dynamic guys on the outside winning early, right? I mean, does Nebraska have a Malachi Toney on the roster? No, I don't think so. I would argue maybe an Isaiah Hunter is better than either of Miami's, top 2 vertical threats, or at least he can be at his peak, but he disappeared at times. He went invisible at times, right? Dane Key wasn't the difference maker. Jamal Banks wasn't the difference maker. Isaiah Nair went invisible as well. Nebraska's, I think, got enough guys on the outside that can do it, but don't necessarily consistently do it, right? I mean, what's the comparison? Is an Isaiah Hunter Keelan Marion? Maybe. We'll see.
So.
And we'll see if Nebraska even has the running back now moving forward. Huskers very quiet in the transfer portal on that front. They seem to be rolling with the room that they have. But I think the other part of this here, Nick, is that it's easier to put up, big counting stats and big numbers when you're on the field more. Nebraska, it felt like at times over the last, couple seasons has really struggled to sustain drives. And Miami, again, you look at those time of possessions. I'm not a big time of possession guy. It's not nothing. It's not everything. But I mean, they hold the ball for 33 minutes and 42 seconds this year, 5th nationally. And they've averaged 37 minutes of time of possession over the course of the last 2 games. So I don't know. I think there's a lot there. Nick, we'll let you go because Jay Foreman's here. Let's go ahead and bring in Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman. He's on the stream. He's got the gleam. Jay Foreman, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, we're talking some Nebraska football right now. The Huskers actually had a very similar offense to the Canes. Nick and I were going through this, an article from ESPN and Bill Connolly. If you look at the success rate and the yards per successful play, Nebraska and Miami, their logos are touching in Bill Connolly's graphs, 2 very similar offenses, at least in that realm. But Jay, I think the most important part of this, as I was telling Nick, is the first sentence here of this breakdown from Bill Connolly. He writes, "We can probably surmise that big burly man ball with an air raid route tree was the vision when Mario Cristobal hired former Dana Holgorsen protege Shannon Dawson as offensive coordinator. Big burly man ball, that to me is what Matt Rule is saying. We want to run the ball, we want to stop the run, and we want to dominate in the 4th quarter. You add Dana Holgorsen, right? Where are the easy completions, where guys just wide open in the middle of the field and a quarterback that can slice and dice that way. It seems like, just according to the numbers, Nebraska and Miami are following a similar offensive formula. And so if that's the case, I think that the question that leads me to is, what is Nebraska missing that Miami has in order for the Huskers to get to that level of offensive success?
Oh, it's definitely, obviously their offensive line, I think, is obviously the way that they're able to run the ball with the, 2-pronged attack and be efficient and set up their play action pass game. So then also they have a plethora of wide receivers that can, take a, like we saw last game, you could take a jailbreak screen and make something out of nothing, right? And so you can, flip the field easily based off your run game. You got 2 NFL running backs and Fletcher and Brown, and you have probably just being very cautious, they have 4 NFL guys up front, legit draft picks, probably 5, right? And so then they got a couple other ones just waiting for you. So that's where obviously where they're able to lean on that run game, lean on their physicality. Then obviously it flows over to their defense and special teams. So everything starts and stops with their running game. But let's not forget, Carson Beck has had a resurgence of maybe what everybody thought he was going to be his last year at Georgia. Very, very consistent. He played big in the big moments this year. Even in the 2 losses, he actually played well. Just a little bit of miscommunication with 2 freshman receivers. And so, he's provided some, even though he's very quirky, he's provided some leadership, but his experience in big games has really helped him. And that offensive line is second to none.
Obviously, I'm not going to compare Anthony Colandrea to Cam Ward. But I mean, maybe more, gunslinger, get out of the pocket, get on the move kind of guys. And Cam Ward, I think his pocket presence was maybe a little underrated, the way he was able to hang in there and deliver it downfield. Of course, you have dynamite weapons on the outside, and Martinez at running back last year for Miami as well. But I feel like, for Nebraska, that 2024 Miami offense feels like, I mean, if you see this breakdown, kind of like what Nebraska wants to be if they can find a guy like Cam Ward. It might be easier, though, for Nebraska to find a guy like Carson Beck, who's not known for his mobility, but how did he win the college football playoff semis for Miami? It was with his legs, right? A quarterback, Jay, that can keep Nebraska on schedule, receivers that can win early and do just enough to keep the chains moving with enough commitment to a run game behind an offensive line that can do it. There's no reason that can't be the formula for Nebraska to follow and ultimately achieve.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, Cam Ward is the number one pick for a reason. Obviously, he's able to extend plays, and then he's very accurate. He's actually more, very as accurate in the pocket as he is outside of the pocket, and definitely off schedule plays. So you can't replicate that. But what they're able to do with those two quarterbacks, and obviously, I always say this: the quarterback that can run just enough and knows when to run, how to run. I think is the worst quarterback to play against, because you could have excellent coverage, you could pass rush well, you could slip on the field, and then the next thing you know, game set match where Ole Miss or University of Mississippi felt like they did a decent job for the most part against the run game. The quarterback run game got you on an off schedule play, and that's what kills you as a defender. 3rd and 6, and he gets 7 or 8. 3rd and 1, and then he gets a 10, 12-yard run, kind of a la Patrick Mahomes. He runs when he has to, and when he does, he definitely pays off tenfold for the offense.
The other numbers that came up here, Jay, and maybe you heard as you're joining the stream, but Miami is 5th nationally in time of possession this year, 33 minutes and 42 seconds per game. The Canes hold the ball. In the college football playoff, they've held onto it for 37 minutes and 21 seconds in the 2 games, which is obviously incredible. The more you have the ball, the less the other team has the ball, the less likely they are to score. And I think a lot of times, and deservedly so, time of possession is viewed as an offensive stat, which obviously it is, right? The ability to sustain drives either by staying on schedule or having some of those clutch completions and conversions. Obviously, a lot of it goes on the offense. But Jay, I think about some of Nebraska's issues with controlling the ball. Sure, they put up some stinker drives, right, where they went 3 and out in the span of like a minute 20 with 1 run and 2 passes, and that was that. But man, I don't want to let the Nebraska defense off the hook either. How many times this year did Nebraska have a chance to get off the field, give the ball back to its offense in at least a semi-advantageous spot, and then give up just that one more series to where now instead of starting, between the 20 and 30, Nebraska's starting between the 5 and the 15, backed up that much further. And so, yes, time of possession is an offense stat, but I think part of putting up better offensive numbers is having a defense that gets off the field early, doesn't keep itself on the field, giving the ball back to the offense, whether it's through, forcing takeaways or just getting off the field on 3rd down.
Yeah, it's complementary football at its finest, and it's set up by actually, unlike most of Miami teams and what they hadn't been actually in the first couple of years, or the first year in particular, Mario Cristobal, they haven't been very disciplined. This team is way more disciplined on both sides of the ball, so you're not punching yourself in the face in the self-inflicted wounds offensively and defensively, right? You saw a little bit of it against Ole Miss, but that's just a little bit of the nastiness and edge that they play with. But when you're disciplined on both of the lines in particular, you're able to essentially suffocate the other team. And then when you have a defense that not only can play the run, but destroys any type of pass block scheme and any type of passing scheme that you have with those 2 excellent defensive ends and underrated defensive tackles and a pretty good linebacker in Torrey and a really, really ultra aggressive defensive backfield. That's how you really flip the script on your team, and you're able to actually withstand a couple hiccups during the season and actually get better down the stretch. Nick Saban said it, himself, that Miami's probably the most dangerous team coming into the playoffs if they got in. And it's mainly because of what they've been able to do across the lines. But more importantly, it's the uptick in discipline. And then obviously they with that discipline, it boiled over into complementary football, which then obviously allowed them to be a legitimate, obviously, college football playoff team, which I think they maybe weren't last year. I think they went to the Cam Ward well. Actually, we saw them in a really good game against Cal and Mendoza's last year, a game that they shouldn't have been, that close, but they had to come back by 24 points. Obviously Cam Ward had that legendary after-game interview, but, now you see them where they're able to kind of put the dagger in the heart, and they got one more game potentially to be a national champion against a great team in Indiana.
Yeah, last year's Miami team was a little bit more volatile, scored about 13 more points per game, but not quite as consistent, right? This Miami team, once they had a lead, you weren't getting it back from them. The other thing I think that's interesting to note about this Miami team too, Jay, and this is the mark of a lot of teams that make it to the Final Four and beyond, regardless of sport, is that they will find ways to beat you. They're portable. They can win multiple ways, right? A 10-3 game against A&M, a game that then, got into a little bit of a shootout against Ole Miss, just a well-played football game against Ohio State in the quarters. Miami can hit you up on the ground with the two good running backs. They can throw it to Tony. They have some other guys outside that can stretch the field. That can make a play. Obviously have, probably a top half the first round guy in Ruben Bain on the defensive line, among all sorts of other playmakers there. It's great if you have one way to beat teams. It's great if you have a calling card, but Miami's non-negotiables on the lines are non-negotiables. They show up every game. And that gives the other, what would that be? Other 6 guys on offense and other 7 or 8 guys on defense, a chance to have any one of those guys step up and be the ones that beat you.
Yeah, and they're way more connected this year, and obviously, they had a learning lesson where they probably felt like they let themselves down, and obviously SMU was probably a surprise to them, and obviously, but they still felt they could have got in, and they felt like when they had Cam Ward, they always had a chance. And sometimes we saw this even at Nebraska with Adrian Martinez. It gets close. It's really, really good quarters 1 through 3. Quarter 4, when you really need it, some games you can get over the hump over the season. You'll stub your toe more times than not. So this team is, look, they are not to be trifled with. They are tough. They are focused. And then they can play the disrespect card. And they have a big mountain to climb in Indiana. And so, come Monday night, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Not only how it starts, but then obviously in that crucial 8 to 12 minute mark before halftime and coming out of halftime.
Teams have not started well against Indiana so far in the college football playoff. Even just a sustained drive from Miami would be a step in the right direction. Yeah. Now for what Hoosiers opponents have done. Let's go ahead and take our first break of this 4:00 hour. Got a text from Waverly Jim on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, and a Vortex update. Where did some former Huskers land? What's going on with them? Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman on stream. I'm Austin Norman. Back in just a moment.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Anderson Ford, we have commission-free guides who are paid to give you a great experience, not make a sale, so you can choose the best vehicle for you. Right now at Anderson Ford, lease a 2025 Ford Escape for $222 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 4003618. Lease for $222 per month for 36 months with approved credit. $100 per year, $5,000 plus first payment due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Plus take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 2226.
It's the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at NebraskaDeerandGameExpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of snow, otherwise mainly cloudy and windy. The high around 34. Tonight, a slight chance of snow, otherwise mostly cloudy, windy, and cold. The low around 10. And tomorrow, probably sunny skies, will be breezy and cold. The high near 17. I'm meteorologist Kyle Clucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at SauterHeyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations. At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody. MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Make your next event unforgettable with Grazing Gouda, your local artists and experts in charcuterie and grazed tables. From boardrooms to ballrooms, they turn gatherings into experiences with stunning spreads of artesian cheeses, cured meats, fresh fruits, and gourmet bites. Perfect for corporate luncheons, weddings, parties, or any celebration that deserves a wow moment. They handle the details. You take the compliments. Book your graze table today at GrazingGouda.com. Grazing Gouda, because every event deserves to be savored.
Hey guys, this is former UFC fighter and mixed martial artist Anthony Lionheart Smith. The Upside Bar and Lounge in South Lincoln is the go-to spot for every UFC event, prelims, and main card. There's never a cover, so make sure you get there early and stay late. Upside Bar and Lounge has daily specials, a margarita club, and a taco club. And don't forget, they just added Buzz Bowls to their menu. Learn more about upcoming events by visiting UpsideBarLNK.com and stop into their South Lincoln location for every UFC event on 27th and Pine Lake.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is Old School. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman here with you. 402-464-5685. Anything on your mind, would love to hear from you. Jay, as we wrap up this Nebraska-Miami sort of comparison here, I want to get to this from Waverly Jim. The other difference between Nebraska and Miami, according to Jim, is the head coach. He says, I'll add context. Cristobal knows exactly what he wants his teams to look like. Seems like Matt Rule throws a roster in a blender and hopes his coaches and players can make it work. I'll throw this out there. There are a bunch of questions about Mario Cristobal after that Georgia Tech game. Winning answers a lot of questions, and I'm sure Mario Cristobal's a better coach now than he has been, right? You should be getting better every year, but it's amazing how much better you look when you win 8 or 9 games instead of 6 or 7 games.
Let me tell you something. I watched that Georgia Tech game live, and I was like, no, he didn't, right? And I knew what he was thinking. Because you got to think, Coach Key is a former offensive line coach as well. So that there's a little bit of ego there. So I'm gonna shove this down your face, and oops, little fumble Ruski. Your boy Haynes King got it, and then it was it was a huge. People started questioning him. I think he learned a lot from that because when my dad got inducted into the Ring of Fame or whatever, and got his name in the stadium. The way that they beat Clemson is actually the opposite. They played small ball in 4-minute drill or 6-minute drill way better than Clemson, which Clemson had Shipley and all those guys right there. They had Kate Klubnik and all those. And so he learned from it. I think, look, it's easy to point fingers at any coach that's not in the final two. Obviously, Nebraska fans can be frustrated, and you can understand that as well. But I also think that, look, you just got to appreciate what Miami's doing, and just have some faith that Coach Rule, what he's doing and way he's tried to build this team that is going to pop eventually. Now, what I think that you have to really hope for, right, is that Miami's probably going to be sustainable. Obviously, you see the way that they've recruited, and obviously they went and dipped in and got your boy from Duke. If you didn't know that, Austin for the quarterback. We'll get into that. Now, where Nebraska needs to go is that we need to be sustainable in that 9+ wins every year, 8+, 9+ wins. 8 wins should be like, oh man, we got to really hit the portal. We really need to upgrade here, and we really get to start to shopping a la carte versus mass shopping. Like you want to. So if you want a really good analogies, like you go to Whole Foods to get, the foo coffee and all that, right? With all the little stuff in there versus, you can go to McDonald's and get the black coffee anytime you want.
You mentioned it, Jay. I was going to get to it. Some breaking news in the last hour and a half or so. Pete Thamel of ESPN reports Duke quarterback Darian Mensah plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. He submitted his request for transfer paperwork. This is the 11th hour here, Jay. It's Miami? Is that the destination? I mean, it makes some sense.
Hey, listen. Here's the way I look at it, and we'll dive into a little bit more of the vortex before we get the better two of the Nick on there in the 5 o'clock hour before I got to bounce to the 40 ounce. But I look at it like this: there's a reason why Dylan Raiola, well, at least in my opinion, I can't speak for anybody. I know if that was me and Dante Moore is coming back, and I know I was connected to those two. I know I'm sending that little blind text that I guess what do young cats call a risky text? Sure. I got a nephew in high school. I think that's what he said. Him and his buddies when I was up at the funeral, because I'm trying to get back in there in Miami. Miami probably had that in there with Mensah, and the way that these kids are doing it, where they're savvy, right? Whether it's Seaton from the offensive tackle from Colorado, or Princewell, the pass rusher from Ole Miss. And now we got the quarterback. Is they're doing it at the 11th hour, or right at the 23rd hour. So then, therefore, there is no fluff there. You either want me and I want you, or I go back to where obviously I can start and be successful. So I think all signs point to Miami. Probably where they've been coy. I think it's probably a really good, smart decision for Miami. When you think of they've played against him, they know him. He's in the ACC, and so you kind of when he goes to Clemson or Georgia Tech or plays down in Miami, he's been there. You know what I mean? So and he's a heck of a talent. We've talked about how many times Duke has knocked it out of the park with him, and then they had RoboCop the year before that went to Oregon State. I call him RoboCop because of when he walked out in high school, he looked significantly different than everybody else. He was a 5-star recruit, and then obviously had some really good success at Duke. So you just never know. But back to Nebraska and Coach Rule, I think the biggest thing that Nebraska needs to do as they wrap up this, 2026 class portal in high school, because he just got the high school quarterback, is the best thing that they could do is just get to work. Work in silence, work in the dark. And, right now it's got to be grind, because you look, that schedule's not changing. The expectations and standards has been raised, and that's not going to ever change and shouldn't change. And you got to welcome it. But then in order to defeat it, you just got to get to work and, not look over your shoulder, not listen to the noise, both good, bad, or indifferent, and really put in some good work. And your fortunes will change come Saturdays in the fall.
I had to look this up to confirm, but Mensa did put out a "I'm running it back" video
today. Just now?
Not today. This is before, not long after their Sun Bowl victory, and that very, very quietly got deleted from his Instagram. So it seems like, he will be on the move. Jay, a couple re-signings for Nebraska. Still weird to say in college, but guys that Nebraska didn't have to go back to the transfer portal to get, guys that were on the roster. That we know were confirmed just in the last day or two. Isaiah Hunter, Andrew Marshall, two really big returns for the Huskers.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for them. I think they both came in and proved their worth last year. So I don't know if it was just a one-year deal. I kind of assumed that they were going to be back anyways. But it's always good to get the confirmation. I mean, obviously, they probably have been around, their teammates, because I think in one of the social media posts, I seen Marshall, when they kind of got together, when they first must be, getting into winter conditioning. So I think that's good. You got Marshall. He came in, and I think he's a cool, calm, and collective competitor. He made some big plays. I think he knows he can get better. I think he, kind of vibes with Addison Williams. And then I think on the flip side, Hunter, I think, came in as a freshman, a real good year at Cal with your boy Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of was just known as a deep threat, just kind of a straight line guy. But I think right from the get-go, the Kansas City game, he showed the ability to make 50-50 catches, big catches, make somebody miss. And he was pretty consistent throughout the year. And then obviously his touches and obviously targets went down a little bit. And obviously that coincided with production. But I think the upside is there. He's a big physical kid now. I mean, look, he's a big physical young man. And so he's somebody that I think is only going to get better under Coach Short. So I think, look, as much as, he sometimes maybe deservedly so that Nebraska, obviously Dylan's gone and, maybe hadn't been as sexy in the portal. You got to give him credit with those two guys. Those guys, I think, played pretty decent last year, and guys that you would want to come back. Both of them are, I think, are really good. And this is just outside looking in. Obviously, I just look at, how they operate. When I see them, how they operate, at the games, are they professional? You know what I'm saying? They go about their business. I think those are guys that you want in your locker room and in your program, and guys that hopefully continue on the tradition of good portal gets, but more importantly, leave their mark, how to work, how to go about your business. That's when you can say, okay, this is what we talked about, Austin, is identify clearly what a black shirt is, what a black shirt linebacker is, what a black shirt edge player is, what a black shirt D lineman is. In this case, what a black shirt corner, and what obviously a wide receiver, what you want. It's a work ethic, accountability, toughness, and playmaking ability, and that's what you want out of any player that you get in the portal.
The last impression for Nebraska fans with those two guys, Andrew Marshall didn't have his best game at corner against Utah, and Isaiah Hunter was out. So I think those are two guys with upside that come back with a lot to prove, and two guys, Jay, that I think for a team in transition as returners can be relied on as leaders. I don't know if they get the single digits. Marshall was wearing 10 and Hunter get 13. But whether or not they get the single digits, if that's still a thing for Matt Rule, proven voices, experienced voices in those two rooms that I think are going to play a big role. I mean, Andrew Marshall locking down an outside corner position in the new year of a new defense as an upperclassman would go a long way. And Isaiah Hunter saying, no, Coach Holgerson, no, Coach Schwartz, I got you covered out here, right? I'm here for, either the new transfer quarterback and Anthony Calandria, or, hey, I have this rapport with a fellow Cali kid and TJ Lateef. I think those two guys, you don't walk into a year with your spot locked down when you go just 7-5 and 7-6 after the bowl game. But I feel pretty good about those two guys having a starting spot and being able to use their voice effectively.
Well, I think that, you want them to come back because they, number one, they want to come, they want to be here, right? You want people that want to be here, coaches, administration, whatever, that want to be there. Now, on the flip side, you got to kind of make them want to be here. And so that's where it coexists. But, both of them, need to get a lot better. And the only way that you're going to build depth, right, and build a program is guys coming back and knowing that they have a lot of work to do. So those are the guys you're not like, putting them in as starters at Penn, but you want to very early, right? You got to think the way that you got to think with Hunter, he had to be challenged. He rose to the challenge. Now you want him to take that, learning experience and maybe, a sour taste in your mouth, not being able to compete against Utah, and then take it to the off season and take the bull by the horns. And when you can have, when you go into the portal and get guys with 2 years left and they come back for the second year, you expect not only better production, but better leadership. And that's what you need right now when you're trying to get over that get over that hump in Nebraska where you're getting close, but it's a big, big step to get up there when you're in contention. And then obviously in the college football playoffs potentially.
Let's go ahead and take our next break of the hour. When we get back, a couple of former Huskers now on to their third schools. Jalen Lloyd and Prince Will Uman Mielon will check in on them. Plus a text from our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line to wrap up hour 2.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
An emergency can happen any moment. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. At CHI Health, we stand ready to care for any emergency. Our specialists provide expert care when you need it most and believe healing is more powerful when delivered with human kindness. When seconds matter, know CHI Health St. Elizabeth is accredited in stroke care and offers the region's only ER just for kids. Learn more at chihealth.com/St. Elizabeth Emergency.
This is your year to win way more than bragging rights. At Warhorse Casino, your love of the game could earn you serious cash. The Pro Football Frenzy is free to play with cash prizes all season long, like up to $1,000 weekly, with your chance at $1 million, all while earning tier points and comp points every time you place a sports bet. Only at Warhorse Casino. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Way out there where the sun comes up under the big red sky, I do life the way I love, with family by my side. I feel home with me, no matter where I go.
Proud of where we're from, excited for where we're going. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in. It is Old School, wrapping up hour 2 of the show. Austin Foreman here, Jay Foreman there. Final segment of our second hour, as always, brought to you by Love Volleyball Nebraska. Their second season is off and rolling. If you want to see your volleyball stars like Lexi Rodriguez and Jordan Larson dominate the floor, you can by getting your tickets at lovbneb.com. A lot of local ties there, Jay. Plenty of local ties in the transfer portal. Couple of Huskers or former Huskers that have bounced around. Former Husker wide receiver and track runner Jalen Lloyd found a new home. He is headed to the University of Florida. Not a guy that's made a huge impact in his college career. Had some moments as a freshman at Nebraska. Last year played in just 2 games for Oklahoma State. But certainly we've seen the deep threat ability, made some nice plays at times for Nebraska. I do wonder if there's maybe a track aspect being added on with him going to Florida for that one as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's always kind of wanted to do both, and obviously, he has the deep speed, and obviously he's developing both as a receiver as well. And obviously went to Oklahoma State, had a little bit of success, and I think he got a little nicked up there. And obviously, when you fire a legendary coach as Mike Gundy, things don't ever work out the way it seems. So it's a fresh start with a fresh coach. Look, that speed is something that you can't. That type of speed. And he has pretty good tracking ability too. And the one thing about Jalen is he has a lot of upside. He's not developed yet. At his football life, he's very, very young as far as how long he's been playing. Got into Warren Academy and took off like gangbusters. So hopefully he gets down in Florida, finds a home where he can develop and then be very productive. And next thing you know, you'll be hearing his name. Because listen, it doesn't matter if he's from Omaha. You can take him out to California, East Coast, West Coast, North, South. Homeboy can run and he can catch it, and he's more physical than what people give him credit for. So hopefully he's happy and healthy, and hopefully he'll be very productive.
The other Husker that was more productive, this time in the SEC, Princewell Umanmielen enters the portal again, coming off a year, 44 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and an interception. Is this as simple, Jay, as following Lane Kiffin to LSU? I'm a little surprised he didn't stay with the DC he flourished under in Pete Golding at Ole Miss.
Yeah, he's in there. Maybe he's trying to get an uptick in contract. I'm sure what he played for this year is probably not, equal to what his production, was. And it was never a talent thing with here. I think he came in as a true freshman here, showed a ton of upside. I think there was so many guys when you think of like Cam Lenhart. You had Jamari Butler. You had all those guys. MJ Sherman. Then he redshirted. I know he had a little bit of a dinged up shoulder. Got down there to Ole Miss where his brother transferred from Florida. And he's a pass rush threat. He even had a sack against Miami and another tackle for loss. So you think when you have 10 sacks, that comes with a pretty hefty price tag. So I'm sure Ole Miss is trying to get him, back in the fold. But if not, I envision that he'll be down in Baton Rouge. But if I'm him, I'm comfortable in Ole Miss. You like the coach. He knows you. If he's trying to go to the NFL next year, I think, my advice would be stay right there down there at the University of Mississippi.
Would tend to agree. Last thing then on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, Chubby Rhino, what are your guys' thoughts on changing the black shirts at Nebraska? I believe that former black shirts should vote on who the current black shirts should be instead of the coaching staff handing out black shirts. All right, Mr. Black Shirt.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think a lot of the former players need to be in and around the program to teach. Look, we got all new coaches on defense. I mean, besides Rob Dvorak. And talk to them and tell them what it means and really probably be able to pick and choose or pick what a black shirt effort is and maybe be a part of the process when they're awarded black shirts and understanding, a black shirt is start to finish. A black shirt is earned right now. It's not earned on one game. It's earned through the test of time. It's through hard work. It's a lot of sacrifice. And, I guess it's kind of like a blood oath. That's why you see a lot of the defensive guys when we get together. It's that bond that will never be broken because you go through some times together in order to get for the greater good. So I'm definitely all for it. Obviously, the powers that be, they'll decide what they want to do. But I'm definitely all for it because the name, the black shirt and the black shirt tradition is not going to go anywhere. It's marketable. It's something that's right in there with the pipeline and all that with Nebraska. Don't run from it, be it, and try to reach it. And you'll know when you're a black shirt. You know what a black shirt effort is because you want to know what happens when you're a black shirt. Nothing is never good enough, and you're always thinking what if and what I can do. So hopefully they take that and adopt that this offseason, and then they go out there and play like champions.
The black shirt has stood the test of time, as has Graham Tire Company. They're celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. All right, Jay, that's it for me. I'm going to bounce. I'm going to do my best Nick Sainert impression tonight. I got Lincoln Northeast hosting Lincoln Southwest in Class A. Ought to be a fun game.
Yeah, I mean, Southwest, they got, they're really, really good. They got 3 special guards. They got the twins, the Sanders twins, and then they got Dakari that's, quite frankly, he's like Big Shot Bob, man. I mean, homeboy's got a straight-up sweep jumper, and he can bust your head open from the deep. And then you got Hudson Metzger that can shoot threes, and then Kobe Kerr kind of cleans up the boards, and then they got a pretty deep bench in the way that they play. But don't sleep on Northeast. They play some really, really good defense. Hayden Tenneper can go shot for shot with them. They got Cole Kaufman, that's a really sneaky good, tough competitor as far as a point guard. So, and plus, all these kids have been playing against each other since they've been 3rd or 4th grade. So there's no love lost. They're going to go out there and get after it a little bit. And that's the best thing to see. I've coached plenty of the kids around Lincoln. Even though Lincoln Supreme likes to take credit for it, I think I've coached more of them. So it's always good on a Friday or a Saturday or a Tuesday or whatever when you get to watch them get after it because a lot of them are going to go on to the next level and play college basketball of some sort.
Excited to see it. Excited to call it myself. Tristan Gomes on the call coming up at 7 p.m. I'm going to bounce. We got another hour of Old School, though. Jay Foreman will be back with you right on the other side.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Line at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Power Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
This is Alexander Fern, the voice of the Lincoln Stars, telling you to join the Stars Saturday, January 24th at the Icebox for our annual Aubrey Brown Club night. The Stars are at home to take on the Omaha Lancers at 6 p.m. Proceeds from the night will go toward a great cause. The Aubrey Brown Club is a local foundation that helps parents through the tragedy of child loss. The Stars will be wearing special jerseys that will be auctioned off following the game. And don't miss a great night for a great cause at the Icebox, Saturday, January 24th. Tickets are available at lincolnstars.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Brown Club.
Winter is just around the corner. Is your vehicle ready? Don't get left out in the cold. At A1 Automotive, we prep your car for whatever winter throws your way here in Nebraska. For battery checks, brake inspections, tires, heaters, whatever your car needs to keep you and your family safe on the road, we've got you covered. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
At Anderson Ford, we have commission-free guides who are paid to give you a great experience, not make a sale, so you can choose the best vehicle for you. Right now at Anderson Ford, lease a 2025 Ford Escape for $222 per month. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 4003618. Lease for $222 per month for 36 months with approved credit. 7,500 miles per year. 5,000 plus first payment due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Plus take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 2226.
It's the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at nebraskadeerandgameexpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
What up, Jay Foreman and the better Nick coming in here for the third hour, Old School. We were brought to you by Graham Tire Company, which is celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. The more than to just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, from brakes, oil changes. Trust Graham Tire for your service. You can count on Graham Tire getting you to the places that matter the most. Matter of fact, I know we got a little bit of winter coming in today. I got to go over there and give me 4 new ones. I got to see if we get a discount over there because, them tires over there can, hurt a brother's pocket. What's up, better half of Nick? We'll call you the better of the two.
Yeah.
Welcome once again, back to Old School.
You got a nice little background there. I was like, wow, look at this guy.
Hey, man, that's it. Hey, first of all, I wish my house looked like this. Second of all, I would not be playing the piano. Third of all, if you could see like over my other shoulder here, it is looks like about 75 and sunny. It is not like that in Lincoln, so it's all good. So, anyways,
it's cold here.
Yeah. So, but you got a little bit of flurries, and look, we've been playing with house money so far. As far as we'll have 1 snow or maybe 1.5 snows, and so we're due for a little something, but not too much, and hopefully we can get the spring unscathed. But speaking of unscathed, I don't know if you guys have touched on it. Obviously, CBS Sports and another report or whatever came out with obviously, Coach Eckler, potentially going to USC, and probably won't be for sure, I would assume, until Monday, because that's probably, the last day people could probably, if you're not in the national championship, probably show up on campus. I hated school. I wish I would probably try to miss the first month or two, but I don't think you can miss more than a week or two. So maybe that's the hold up. But then, it coincided, Nick, with Coach Rule officially announcing 2 coaches added to the staff, right? And so you look, this is the day and age, like he said, of the transfer portal. Whatever the dynamics are, why decisions are made, this doesn't really matter. The decisions are made. And hopefully every decision is made is for the betterment of the team. And then obviously putting the best product out there. Obviously it would be a huge hit no matter how you get to the conclusion, because of the impact Coach Eckler's had on special teams. And obviously, really, to be honest with you, in that locker room, because he's, his energy and standard and being able to coach guys, obviously be able to take some guys that maybe weren't as good on special teams as they were in the year before or years before and make them into pretty productive players. For Nebraska special teams, and had big impact, at least 3 games from my knowledge this year to win into the win column. So be interested to see how it all shakes out, if it does, and then where they go from here. If something does shake out for him, potentially leaving to go to USC.
Yeah, it's been a dynamic that's going on. So under Eckler's leadership, my ad just popped up on the website I was looking at here that I was looking at. They blocked 3 punts last year. They did not allow a blocked punt. And they were vastly improved in their in the special teams. Before then, you kind of touched on it. The special teams before Eckler walked in, there was always something. A punt, a missed field goal kicking, something, an extra point goes wrong, a bad
snaps against Iowa after you dominate them. Kind of rolled it back there. We were like bowling it back there.
Yeah, and there's just something that always it affected the game, because if you don't win all 3 phases and special teams, regardless of how you think of it, it is a very big dynamic of a football game. And if you're shanking punts and giving field position up and missing extra points and missing field goals, leaving points off the board, it'll hurt you. And Mike Eckler, what he did in the 12 games that he had, it just made a huge dynamic of the team. And some things, let's say he's not here, and what happened in 2024, 2023, and so on happens. How many wins does that change?
Yeah. Look, he had a huge impact, and obviously this is something that I remember Mike Eckler when he was just, a linebacker coach here. Then obviously he kind of, took on special teams as well. And, look, when you're able to inspire and obviously, hold guys accountable and all that, then, they can play for you. And so that's the biggest thing that you potentially could lose. But that, that means that somebody else is going to have to step up, right? And that's what usually happens in this game. Look, the finished product by no means is Mike Eckler's coaching career done, but where you see Mike Eckler now is not where Mike Eckler started. So my point is somebody had to give him a chance. Then he ran with the chance. And so if he leaves, then I'm sure that Coach Rule is going to have to give somebody a chance, and they got to run with it, because the good and bad thing about Coach Eckler being here is the special teams now are a legitimate part of this team, right? And that's what Coach Rule's been, and that's what we've been needing for quite some time. So it doesn't matter if Coach Eckler's here or whoever is there to replace him. The standard is the standard. People see now what special teams used to look like and what they should be, and that's what you're going to expect. And it's not just the fancy block punts or the returns. It's the consistency, low penalties, legitimate, return game, covering kicks, being able to, coffin kick, punts, or, strategic plays where if you have a really hot returner, you might sky kick it or kick it out of bounds. And so you're playing complement. When you talk about complementary football, and that's what you need in the Big Ten, special teams is a big part of it. So, everybody's kind of waiting and seeing, and, maybe it's pointing towards one way. We should see here very soon.
Here's that stat. So under Eckler's leadership last year, Nebraska blocked 3 field goals and had 2 punts. Huskers did not allow a block punt or blocked field goal in 2025. Additionally, Nebraska ranked 12th nationally in kick return defense, 13th nationally in yards per kick return, and 88th nationally in net punting. So, like you said, the standard's there. You want to play clean. If you're clean on special teams, no one's going to bat an eye. If you're,
yeah. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, you play special teams, and here's what happens, really, to be honest with you. When you go into a game, it was 2 ways. We'll talk about, what it's like to go into the game knowing that your special teams are legit. You're going into the game knowing you're going to flip the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing, and it's kind of a swagger, right? We know, like I was I covered punts, covered kicks, kickoff return, and all that. So we're like, okay, well, how many guys can we put on the ground so we can get the returners to the end zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about, Mike Rucker, who was my roommate. We were on punt return, and they still show it, oddly enough, that, sometimes they don't like showing those old videos of the guys in the 90s, but Mike, both of us ended up going on and playing like 9 years in the NFL. His biggest play, or one of his biggest plays, he made a huge play against Oklahoma State down there in Kansas City, but his signature play, in my opinion, is knocking one of the Kansas State safeties, really good safeties, helmet off, and really knocked them out of the game on a huge punt return. Mike Foreman was able to not only flip the field, return it for a touchdown. They keep showing that play. And Mike Rucker, 6'6", and 240, 50 pounds on special teams, ended up being a second-round draft choice. That's the swagger, and that's the type of effort and intensity that you need. Now, on the flip side, right, where if you're facing a team that has a dangerous returner, a dangerous return game, it really seeps into your offense and defense and how they're calling plays. Because once one big return happens, that changes what the defensive coordinator, can call. And then it makes the offensive coordinator maybe get out of their realm and maybe too aggressive, or playing against the odds that there's going to be another return. Because most likely when you get the ball back offensively, you're backed up. So you're either really, really conservative, or you're going to be like Colorado when they were here a couple of years ago and try to throw out of your back end zone, interception for touchdown for Tommy Hill. So special teams can set up a lot of things that aren't the fancy plays, but the fancy plays that we got this year, or the splash plays this year, is obviously put them on the map. And so that's why Coach Eckler, if he's gone, is going to be a huge loss. But we shall see, hopefully sooner than later, because obviously you want to get on and to what you need to do, and that's the business of football. But it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
402-464-5685, the starter Jamin Stuhler text line. We have a couple texts here. So Virginia Pie said, or you could just pay him more. I mean, Matt Rule already kind of said that they offered him a
extension, right? Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And he's a USC. He was there when Lane Kiffin was at USC, I believe.
Yeah. That's the funny thing about it. I grew up a little bit with Lane, and Lane was a different lane, but then was a different lane. So it'll be interesting to see. And obviously Lane's not going back there, but he has some USC ties. I mean, he's kind of been a guy that's when you're assistant coach, man, you got to go where you got to go, and everybody thinks. I saw where they say he's a job hopper. Listen, when a couple of coaches get fired and then you take a defensive coordinator job, that's not job hopping. That's being employed. Actually, to being a really good coach because you're actually always employed. And so I don't think it's a money thing. For everything that I read, I don't know. So I'm just going off what I read is that he wants to coach a position along with special teams. And obviously, when you look at at least on the defensive side, from my estimation, there's nowhere you really can, coach a position. Now you could probably co-coach a position. And then if USC's there and that's what he wants to do, you can't fault the man to try to better his career or what he wants to do or what he thinks he's used to doing. So that's why you always got to appreciate the good players that you have, good coaches that you have. And, in this day and age, the day of keeping a staff together, a la Indiana, a la Hurricanes right now, right? Both of these coaches have been very blessed that neither of their coordinators, even though Miami has a new defensive coordinator, they haven't left or been interviewing for jobs or being finalists down the stretch. When you look at it and look at, Coach Eckler, we saw it actually, with Coach Rule, with the whole Penn State, drama and stuff. And obviously it got remedied very, very quickly, is that when you look at Ohio State, you lost Brian Hartline. Offense looked horrible. When you looked at Ole Miss, Lane calling back two important coaches on the offensive side. The offense got started late, right? Didn't look like they looked against Georgia. And then you think of Oregon, right? You lose both of your coordinators to head coaching jobs, which is a great for Dan Lanning, but it's not great timing. The defense didn't look good, obviously, and the offense didn't look good. And they got just annihilated against a team that they were within a score and a half against earlier in the season. So, and coming off to a really good game against Texas Tech. So keeping your coaches as much as possible is obviously huge, but obviously you can't, make somebody be here if they got a better opportunity somewhere else.
So before Mike Eckler was at Nebraska for the 1 year, he's at Tennessee. He was the special teams coordinator from 2021 to 2024, but he also was the outside linebackers coach.
Oh yeah. He coached a kid that I know, and he's not a kid anymore. I shouldn't even say that, James Pierce. I was able to see James in Charlotte, North Carolina, because I used to live there. I got introduced to him by a good friend of mine named Pat Mack that went to that school. We went and watched him, and I was like, "This dude is, he gets some weight on him. He's going to be, good." Mm-hmm. And he ends up going to Tennessee. I think he's a first-round pick, and I think he ended up having like 8 sacks this year for Atlanta. And so, Coach Eckler has coached him and a plethora of other guys at Tennessee and everywhere else. One story I'll tell you about Coach Eckler before we get into a little Miami talk is that I remember I think I was still playing here, not playing here, but I was still playing. And we had a mutual friend, and I think I came back for a game. And, Coach Eckler was like, "Hey, what do you think about my linebackers?" And he was like, "Man, this kid, Philip Dillard, he's like, man, he's got a lot of talent, but he's struggling at outside linebacker." And I saw him move around a little bit, and I'm not taking any credit for it. I'm just telling you, like, Coach Eckler was actually, open to. I mean, he asked a question, I just answered it, so it's not like I gave him free knowledge. I was like, man, throw him in the middle, even though it's more chaos in there. I think he's suited for that. Philip Dillard ends up playing middle linebacker for a year or so, ends up playing or getting drafted in the 3rd round by the Giants, and so he has an eye for talent, and he's able to get guys to play maybe a little bit above their athletic ability or where the potential is at that point. So we shall see. We'll wait and see. And then after that, we'll probably address it after that and whoever replaces him. But more importantly, in the landscape of college football, not only, a little side note news, obviously, if you're potentially going to be a redshirt freshman, you get to play 5 years. You get to play 9 games as a freshman. Yep. That's gonna help continuity, and I think and hope keep guys here. So I'm not a red shirt, not only play 2 games or 3, and I can go somewhere else and play, right? But also you get to show your stuff. So you'll be able to see a bigger capsule of what Jay Foreman can do as a freshman. So then therefore when we're talking, obviously advancement as far as your contract goes, you have, games against good competition, because if you play 9 games, you're not playing non-conference in Willie Lump University and Meatloaf State. So that's a big deal. What are your thoughts on that? It's not for sure, but obviously when they talk about it in NCAA, when they actually get off their butts and make a decision, the decision's already made. They're just throwing it out there to see what people think. So what do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, that happened a couple of days ago. The NCAA Division I committee still has to vote on it. The coaches unanimously pushed it out there. I mean, I like it from a stability standpoint, because rosters, I think 4 games is not enough body of work. And you're seeing people leave just because, they only appeared in 2 or 3 games and I still have this backward. It creates some stability to say, I have this body of work. I have, that's 75% of the season. You play in 9 games. You don't play in those 3 games. You can sit around and be like, I still have another year of eligibility, even though I played 75% of the season or a little bit less than 75%. I think it builds stability for your rosters here. You're not guys are just appearing in a handful of games and saying, I have barely any film on me, but I can go transfer somewhere else and play. It'll be interesting from like a quarterback standpoint, especially because we see the quarterback portal is guys are entering the portal. But Ohio's quarterback Parker Navarro entered the portal yesterday, and the portal is, I mean, it's been open for a while. Like I don't know what changed with that scenario, but from a standpoint of positioning, I think it creates some stability. You can have another year of eligibility just right there, even though you played in 9 of 12 games, 9 of 13 games. I think it's a good thing for college football because then you have 5 years. And then you don't have the guys sitting around here getting, and then I don't know how that's going to affect with like the waivers and guys getting players like Trinidad Chambers right now. He's suing right now. That came out earlier today. And then you have guys like TJ Finley. Me and Harrison talked the other night about him.
Hey, man. Sammy, I ain't mad at him, man. Go ahead and work the system, man.
I mean,
get you many college reps as possible.
Exactly. And like, is he doing something wrong? No, it's within the rules. It's just, 7 schools.
It's a bad look.
Seven schools in 7 years. Hopefully he's got a degree in some shape or form because it will totally change the portal if they go to that 5 years, 9 game eligibility model.
Yeah. And the thing you mentioned quarterback, I think that actually is going to be the trickiest part because everybody, you can kind of throw a lineman in there and linebacker and all that and kind of hide them. Quarterback is tricky because that position can't be switched out a lot. So if you have say you have a 2-year starter, then you bring in a 5-star or a 4-star or thinks he should play. Well, you might only get 6 games. You're not going to get 9 because I can't throw you in there in the Big Ten just because I need to, pat you on the back. And so it's still going to how you navigate the most important position. Between wide receiver and quarterback, I don't know which one brings more drama, as far as, playing time and what they think they deserve. But hopefully it allows for teams to be able to build rosters. Roster management is going to be huge. Playing time is going to be huge. And the team that's able to kind of have I call it a stair-step system on, starter, rotational player, up-and-coming guys, so you're always reloading. I think if you can get that down pat, I think you're going to be way ahead of the curve if they go to these 9 games.
100%. I think that gives stability. I think when you're losing, I mean, look at a non-Power 5 team. You're losing your coach leaves and you're losing your entire roster. Like, what was it last year? Marshall and Southern Miss pretty much swap teams because their coach loses the job at Southern Miss, he loses the job at Marshall, goes to Southern Miss.
The whole team goes in the portal. Exactly.
And then it's just a mess then because then whoever takes that job elsewhere is just in I'm starting from scratch and I have to scratch and claw to find my roster and who has eligibility and who does not. And the quarterback scenario is huge because I'm just curious how that's going to work. Like you said, you can't just throw a guy in there and be like, a Big Ten play, we're in a close game. Quarterback's one guy.
Yeah. And if you feel like you got to play him and he throws a huge pick, I go back to this before we go to break. I remember we had Taylor Martinez and everybody was calling for Cody Glenn. Bo Pelini was like, I'll show you. Not only I'm going to burn his red shirt, I'm going to put him in there against Oklahoma and Rocky Helmets and all them dudes backed up in the third quarter at the 1-yard line. You get exactly what you asked for sometimes, and it wasn't fair for Cody, but sometimes that's what you do when you feel like you have some pressure from the outside coming in to play a rookie quarterback or a freshman quarterback. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break with Old School, come back, one more segment. Jay Foreman, better of the Nick. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Just got the brakes fixed on my car today.
You did? You haven't even left the office.
I didn't need to. I got a guy who picks up my car and drops it off when it's done.
Well, who's your guy?
Graham Tire. They have pickup and delivery service at all 5 of their Lincoln locations.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com. That's GrahamTireLincoln.com. Let us do the running. Some limitations apply. See store for details.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
All right, fellas, it's January. You're setting goals, you're hitting the gym, but have you checked what's going on inside the engine? At Advanced Medical Imaging, the Wellness Within program makes it easy. They have different levels of preventive scans so you can choose exactly what fits your health goals, from quick baseline checks to full body insights. It's simple, it's smart, and it's all about keeping you in top form before problems ever sneak up. And the best part, you don't need a doctor's order. Just call AMI to schedule and make this the year you put your health on the schedule.
The 2026 Love Nebraska season is underway, and professional volleyball is back in a big way. From powerful serves to game-changing rallies, every match brings elite competition to the court. See some of the game's top athletes, including Lexi Rodriguez and Jordan Larson, compete right here in Nebraska. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the sport, there's a match for you this season. Explore the full schedule and plan your night out at lovbneb.com/schedule.
MHC isn't a new company, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can handle your commercial moves as well. MHC Moving has 0 hidden fees. You'll never pay for same-day booking or be charged for stairs, heavy items, or elevator fees. Rates are the same Monday through Saturday, and you will never pay a truck or fuel surcharge. And they offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
It's the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln. Come see trophy deer, hunting seminars, hunting and outdoor exhibitors, a 3D archery tournament, enter the blind giveaway, and more. The Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, presented by Whitetail Properties Real Estate, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. Learn more at nebraskadeerandgameexpo.com and find them on Facebook. Come to the Nebraska Deer and Game Expo, January 16th through the 18th in Lincoln.
This is Alexander Fern, the voice of the Lincoln Stars, telling you to join the Stars Saturday, January 24th at the Icebox for our annual Aubrey Brown Club night. The Stars are at home to take on the Omaha Lancers at 6 p.m. Proceeds from the night will go toward a great cause. The Aubrey Brown Club is a local foundation that helps parents through the tragedy of child loss. The Stars will be wearing special jerseys that will be auctioned off following the game. And don't miss a great night for a great cause at the Icebox, Saturday, January 24th. Tickets are available at lincolnstars.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Brown Club.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination. 93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Way out there where the sun comes up under the big red sky, I do life the way I love, with family by my side. I feel home with me, no matter where I go.
Proud of where we're from, excited for where we're going. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Cool. Jay, you there? You still awake?
Yeah, I'm still there, man. I'm not on the screen yet, homie.
There you are.
Yeah, we got to get you tightened up, man. You know I'm here. I'm waiting till I see my face on there, man.
Hey, everybody's got their own thing. So
Austin can do that with his eyes closed, man.
Austin's the GOAT. Look at it. You got a new background here. You got a brick wall here. You run.
Yeah. Hey, man. Everybody thinking I'm at that place over there, man. I wish I lived like that. People asking questions. They hard headed. I like the little brick. That's just like my little mug shot, man.
You're running through a brick wall.
That's right.
That's the Friday mood right there with Jay Foreman right there.
Yeah, man. But look, we won't be able to be on air. Oh, we'll be on the air before the championship game. But before we go into the weekend, this is the time of the essence. The game is already played, and you're not going to really figure out how to beat a team. In the next 48 hours, 72 hours, everything in your work should have been done, obviously, before that. So we'll be able to touch actually on the championship game on Monday. So we'll do our predictions on Monday. We'll bring you in there because, you're in the producer.
I'll be here. I'll be here.
Yeah, me, you, and Austin. We'll see. We'll have to put a little wager on it. But more importantly, this weekend, come tomorrow, the most important game in AFC history. Both games. My Buffalo Bills fly all the way across the country, 2 or 3 time zones, altitude with the cyborg, the most unstoppable force of the last 4 or 5 years. It's kryptonite, and Patrick Mahomes is not in the playoffs. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are trying to circle the wagons against those Broncos, rested, hopefully rusty. What do you think about that game tomorrow at 3:30 up there in Denver?
I think it might be the best of the weekend. There's a lot of we going into the playoffs is like, wild card weekend is going to be exciting. I don't think people anticipated it being that fun for a viewer. There were so many good games, so many good endings. The Bears come back, the Bills scoring on that. Josh Allen running like a 10-yard QB sneak or whatever that was. Now, and Denver, man, that is a tough place to play. And the Bills, like you said, there's Mahomes is out of the picture, Lamar Jackson's out of the picture. It feels just like destiny for the Bills, but they have to get through. They didn't win their division, so they have to get through Denver or Houston, whoever that is.
Yeah, you think if there was ever a year, your last year in Highmark Stadium would be the year that you want to win the division. Now here come the Patriots with a new head coach, and even the Patriots are saying they didn't think they were going to be as good under Vrabel in year one, and they obviously been if not the most consistent, one of the most consistent teams, and they're able to get home field advantage. Now you got to go on the road And it's not even like it's hard enough to play in Denver, obviously with the altitude. But dang, that defense though. That they're really going to bring. Now, luckily enough, Buffalo has a really good offensive line. Cook is a really, really good running back. They have a plethora of receivers and 2 really, really good tight ends so that they can offset that pass rush and that speed. I think it's going to come down to turnovers and how Buffalo's defense comes out against Denver. If Buffalo's defense is able to match stop for stop and then don't allow Denver to and obviously in particular Bo Nix extend drives, I think the advantage goes to Buffalo on the road. And here's why. Denver's defense is going to come out humming. Eventually, Josh Allen's going to, catch his rhythm. And where you can really offset a really, really good, obviously pass rushing defense and coverage as well. They got Patrick Surtain Jr. is the ability for a quarterback to extend plays, but then also Josh Allen can kill you with the quarterback run, both called and then off schedule. And then also Cook is dangerous out of the backfield. So if you want to slow this pass rush down, what do? Quick passing game, smoke screens, jailbreak screens to the running back obviously out of the backfield, quick passing game so they can't get to your quarterback. Look for Buffalo to try to implement that and then try to, impose their will from a physical standpoint, as long as the game is not out of hand. And so they got to start out fast. They got to, extend drives, even if they don't end up in points, because you want Bo Nix in this Denver offense that's kind of been up and down to drive the length of the field. So hopefully Buffalo's able to do that.
Denver's just been a team that's been able to just find ways to win. Like, has it been pretty? No. The Chiefs, everybody had the Denver winning that game easily, and it was a dogfight until the final end.
Yeah, and so that's where Buffalo, obviously with Sean McDermott, and he knows obviously Spags, and he's going to look at that game plan. That once you put it on tape, and when you're a heavy favorite, and obviously Kansas City was able to compete tooth and nail with them, and Buffalo feels like they're getting a little bit more healthy on defense. Milano's been able to last all year. They got a pretty good defensive line pass rush. They got a big boost in morale. Ed Oliver is back. That's what their target was this week in playoffs. So they have the inside pass rush. It sets up for Buffalo to go up there and pull an upset. And obviously, when you look at the spread, I think it's only 2.5 points. And so that's a complimentary field goal at home for Denver. So it's a toss-em game. Look for Josh Allen to have a big game, and I'm going with my Buffalo Bills 30-27.
Good game.
Oh, yeah.
Down to 1.5 for Denver now.
Oh, 1.5. Yeah.
So it's almost, road game, playoff game. The Bills,
it's a 2-point conversion.
Exactly. And it's going to come down to the final plays. And Josh Allen last week obviously rose to the occasion. Defense made that play in the end, kept the Jaguars out of field goal range. I was scared they were going to give Cam Little a chance because that guy, he did miss a field goal earlier in the game, but he's got a leg.
He's got. It's crazy when you think about not only Cam Little, but all the kickers throughout the league. 50 yards used to be the maximum. Now these guys can go back to 58, 59, and you look at it like teams are playing to get to you within 60 to 55 yards. And so Buffalo was able to go down to Jacksonville, a tough place to win, and able to match their physicality and win. So that gives them a lot of confidence flying again across country. You can't worry about where you're playing now because everybody's in the playoffs and you got to do what you got to do. And so I look for, Buffalo to win. The second most important game in the playoffs is my Houston Texans going up to Foxborough.
Big AFC guy.
D'Amico Ryans going up there. 2 linebackers bringing their 2 teams. Both of them are tough. Both of them have really good defenses. Obviously, Drake May is in the MVP conversation. C.J. Stroud is trying to play himself into an MVP in the future or MVP consideration. I think this game is going to be not probably as exciting as Denver. I think this is going to be an old school, like rock'em sock'em, last man standing type of game. The old like Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers game where you're going to see some big hits. You're going to see good football. But obviously going to be. I'm biased, and I want Houston to win. But realistically, I think the Patriots are just too tough at home. They play really well at home, no matter if it's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick or Drake May and obviously Mike Vrabel. So I'm going to give the Patriots the slight edge, even though 93 cent a ticket former employee Rico is a big Patriots fan. I'm going to have to hear his mouth probably for the next week or so.
Houston's such a dynamic team because their best offense might be their defense. Their defense
and special teams. Yeah,
they're so good. Like it was a close game with the Pittsburgh for majority of the time, and then the defense just kind of flipped the script and just took complete control of that Steelers game.
You know what's funny? It's actually in Houston Texans franchise blood. Yours truly, we went up there when I was there. You can look this up, man.
Okay.
We went up there and we played Pittsburgh, and they had I think Maddox was the quarterback. That's where I always tell the story about Antoine Randall L. Yep. I had, we had this defense. It was me and him in the flat, and there was nobody else out there. Well, he zigzagged on me, and Jay Foreman kept zigging. And I went right to the sideline, and Joey Porter, who was an old guy, a linebacker that I used to train with in all season, he gave me the business. But we went up there, and they ran 100 plays, and they might have had 480 some yards, or maybe even more. They ran almost 100 plays. I think they did.
That's wild.
And so they really, the yards per play, we were right where we needed to be. We were on the field all game. Our offense might have had 8 yards of offense with David Carr. Aaron Glenn had 2 interceptions for touchdowns. I think I had a fumble recovery, and we had another pick. That's how we beat them. Wow. But what I'm saying is Houston went up there again. Now they had Aaron Rodgers, and you know what? It might be. I have to go back and look. What number did Aaron Rodgers wear? Is he number 8?
He's number 8. Yes.
Yeah. Maddox was number 8. So if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback and you either get drafted or free agency, do not wear number 8 when you play against the Houston Texans.
He was. He was number 8. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures right now.
Yeah. Are you looking at the stats of the game?
I just see the picture of that game. Do you remember the year? Do you remember the year?
It had to be 2002.
2002. Yeah.
2002.
You're remembering 24-6 in December. Is this the game right here?
Is Houston Texans at Buffalo?
I found it.
Yeah.
David Carr, 3 of 10, 33 yards. While Tommy Maddox,
but he had all those sacks, so it was actually negative yards.
So Tommy Maddox, 30 for 57, 2 picks, 325 yards. I read those 2 quarterback numbers there. You think, the Steelers must have won pretty handily.
Yeah.
No, Texans win 24-6.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And it was, listen, when you talk about that's a long flight from Pittsburgh to Houston. Yeah. And when I tell you, before we even got to the runway to take off, I was out, tired. I mean, we were out there all game, and it's late in the year in December, but it was one of the great victories. But that's the way the team felt last week. You score twice on defense, you're definitely going to win. And so if they're able to pack that defense going up to Foxborough, Houston can pull off the upset. But I think the Patriots are really, really disciplined. Vrabel's been in this position before. They got the home field advantage, and so Vrabel's pushing for Buffalo to win so they can get a AFC championship at home. But they got to get through a pesky Texans. The advantage goes to the Patriots because I feel like the Patriots' offensive line is just a little bit better than Houston Texans. Houston Texans' offensive line is better than what people thought coming into the season, but I think they struggled at times against Pittsburgh, who is a really good defense. I think they're going to struggle a little bit against the Patriots, and obviously C.J. Stroud has not done really well when when people are around his legs and pressure. He put the ball on the ground 5 times last week, was able to recover 2 or 3 of them, which is actually 5 too many in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Patriots reluctantly, and hopefully in the hope for the best that both my teams pull through, because then I will tell you this, both of them win, they're in the AFC championship.
Mm-hmm.
If Houston Texans against the Buffalo Bills, I can guarantee you we're going live old school from the AFC championship. I can guarantee you I will be there. So that'd be a good trip. That might even be something that Nick and Jake could get sponsored, and we'll definitely have a nice little what is it called, a vlog when you
nice little vlog, little YouTube vlog. You can have a name. I can see Sainert as a vlogger. I can see it.
Yeah, we can vlog that. Hey, listen, if we get to Buffalo, I don't know if the game would be in Houston.
It would be in NRG, yes.
But the Buffalo fans would be down there tailgating.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you this. I'm body slamming Nick and Jake through a table. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. I think that's got to happen now. Regardless, even if you guys don't go down there, I think that's going to happen. That's got to happen now.
Oh, listen, I was with Jake Sorensen down in Las Vegas. He almost got body slammed through the casino. Because he was trying to get me to eat this purple cookie, man. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm done with you. And he kept going. He was gaining momentum, and I was wearing down, and I was a little angry. But if Buffalo gets to the AFC Championship, they are both, whether they know it or not. I know they're on their way to Chicago. They're going through the white tables, and I'm going to bless them Buffalo Bill style.
Yeah. So final thing in that game, they mentioned the 2002 game. I got the game stats. So the Texans had 47 total yards. The Steelers 422 yards.
Yeah.
Yet the Texans still won 24-6. First downs. Steelers had 24 first downs. The Texans only had 3.
Oh yeah, trust me, I was there. I lived it.
I do trust you. It's just like mind-boggling to kind of put in the today's NFL. It's like usually the team that just has all these stats. It's like if you showed me no score and just give me that, I'd be like, oh, the Steelers probably won like 35-3.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, but now you put it in the retrospect. You fumble return in the first quarter, a 70-yard touchdown pick six. It's 14-0, just like that. The defense puts you up 2 scores.
Yeah. Yeah, we played pretty good against them, but man, that was a lot of it was a lot of plays, man, and that was when they had Jerome Bettis and Alan Faneca, so it wasn't just an easy day at the office. But Aaron Glenn did his thing, had a couple picks, and then obviously we were able to hold the fort down and get out of Pittsburgh with a W. So hopefully it brings us some good vibes, for Houston going up to Foxborough, but it's a tall task, and I doubt Drake May is going to turn the ball over that much, or Vrabel's going to allow them to have 47 yards of offense.
No, they're a clean football team, and I got to find video of this game now. You got me going down a rabbit hole here on a Friday now. I got to find these Jay Foreman highlights and Aaron Glenn pick six. That's my
It was. I did my thing. I had a couple. I showed up. I represented a little bit, so it was good though. It was. It didn't feel good after. I think Dom Capers' notorious hard practices. He gave the defense the day off. He did. He's like, listen, you guys are 102 plays. I'm gonna give you the day off, and come Wednesday we had the pads off. So it was a well-earned rest day because we played the equivalent of 2 games in 1 game. So with that being said, we're gonna take a quick break. Come back. Jay Foreman, the better of the two. Nick, old school. We'll be right back.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A lot of people in the summertime think, gee, I want to build a new home. By the time they go through the process of sitting down, getting the permits, and getting the home started, the home isn't done until January or February.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, and they've built neighborhoods in and around Lincoln for over 25 years.
I think the best time to start designing your new home is the month of January, because get an early start on it. Sit down, the snow's flying, let's sit around the table, let's drop some plans, let's put numbers together, let's get a budget put together, and let's get that thing started so that the home's done in summer or fall before school starts. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done.
Make your dream a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
All right, fellas, it's January. You're setting goals, you're hitting the gym, but have you checked what's going on inside the engine? At Advanced Medical Imaging, the Wellness Within program makes it easy. They have different levels of preventive scans so you can choose exactly what fits your health goals. From quick baseline checks to full body insights. It's simple, it's smart, and it's all about keeping you in top form before problems ever sneak up. And the best part, you don't need a doctor's order. Just call AMI to schedule and make this the year you put your health on the schedule.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Alexander Fern, the voice of the Lincoln Stars, telling you to join the Stars Saturday, January 24th at the Icebox for our annual Aubrey Brown Club night. The Stars are at home to take on the Omaha Lancers at 6 p.m. Proceeds from the night will go toward a great cause. The Aubrey Brown Club is a local foundation that helps parents through the tragedy of child loss. The Stars will be wearing special jerseys that will be auctioned off following the game. And don't miss a great night for a great cause at the Icebox Saturday, January 24th. Tickets are available at lincolnstars.com. Proceeds from the night will be donated to the Aubrey Brown Club.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Old School. Nick Wyman here. We've had a line change. Austin Orman and me started off. Austin and Jay wrapped it up, and now I'm here to wrap up the show. As we get into a big night in Husker land, as Nebraska wrestling is in action here later tonight. They are at Minnesota in a top 10 matchup. That match starting around 8 o'clock tonight. Should be a good one. Huskers and Gophers. A lot of Nebraska's favored in 7 of the 10 matches. Really big duel down there. First time Nebraska's been on the road in wrestling since early December, which was back in the Hustle and Heartland tournament where they faced Brown and Missouri. So it has been quite a while since the Huskers have been there. Also, Husker tennis, the women's tennis team taking on James Madison tonight. That is one of the first duels of the season for the Huskers. So it should be, it's a big week for Husker sports in general. You have them going on. You have the basketball teams obviously having their success. You have a lot going on. Big game tomorrow at Northwestern for the Huskers. That'll be a talking point for tomorrow, as we have post game tomorrow for basketball. Tonight, stick around with us. We have Corner 3 coming up with Austin recording. We have high school basketball coming up later as well. And then post-match wrestling, which will be following that at some time later tonight. Ridge Lovett will be in studio. DP might be hopping on. We should have a fun time. So a lot more to come here on 93.7 The Ticket. Stick with us. Signing off on Old School, Nick Wyman filling in. Jay Foreman, Austin Norman, thank you guys for everything you guys have done today. Everybody else, have a great weekend.
Just got new tires put on my car today. You did? I did see you leave the office. I didn't need to. Graham Tire picked up my car this morning and dropped it back off when they were done.
You're kidding. How'd you get that kind of service?
That's just what they do at Graham Tire.
Schedule your service online on the Pickup and Delivery tab at GrahamTireLincoln.com.